She walks in loud like a thunderstorm, debunking myths with style and form. True crime, conspiracies, her game. Melissa Jade, remember her name. She's loud, feisty, spilling tea, diving deep into mystery, breaking down your wildest claims. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame. Microphone fierce like a roaring lion, unveiling secrets people been hiding. True crime queen of the digital scene, Melissa's got you hooked on her screen. She's loud, feisty, spilling tea, diving deep into mystery, breaking down your wildest claims. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame. Murders to cover-ups, nothing misses. Melissa's here to share her guesses. She's got theories big and bold, no stone unturned, no case cold. She's loud, feisty, spilling tea, diving deep into mystery, breaking down your wildest claims. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame. From murders to cover-ups, nothing misses. Melissa's here to share her guesses. She's got theories big and bold, no stone unturned, no case cold. She's loud, feisty, spilling tea, diving deep into mystery, breaking down your wildest claims. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame. 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 She's loud, feisty, spilling tea, diving deep into mystery, breaking down your wildest claims. Melissa Jade, she's got no shame.
Hello. Hi, Shay.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
I don't know. I was about to say happy birthday to you. I have no idea why. I had to just stop myself. I don't know where that was going to come from. But you know what? Happy birthday to maybe anyone whose birthday's out there. Hi, Nay. Oh, my goodness. You're forever.
Hey, man. My
Hi,
birthday's in
Nay.
exactly 2 months, so.
Well, you know what, Shay? Let me say it to you now so I don't forget. And so when I do forget come the day of, I wished you happy birthday 2 months ago. So technically I was the first.
I'm writing it down. Hope you will remind me, too.
You know what? I feel like she'll slack. She'll freaking slack. What is September what?
10th.
September 5th?
No, 10th.
Oh, 10th. Yeah, I knew that. Oh, literally exactly 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's really no excuse. Can I just pretend that was intentional? That was totally intentional.
I love it.
Hello. Dude, we have not been live to discuss since Bryan Kohberger took his plea.
Yes.
I'm just mind blown. So let me just do our missing child because I just need to talk about this. So here is our missing child for tonight's live stream. This is Jasmine Gonzalez. She has been missing since June 25th, 2025 out of Newcastle, Delaware. She is 17 years old. So if you or anyone you know has information on her whereabouts, please contact the Delaware State Police at 1302-834-2620. Oh, hold on. Let me move that so you guys can see the number. 1302-834-2620. You're August 1st. It's coming up, Alicia. Hi, Harlot. Hi, Kathy Joe. Because it rhymes, Angel D says. All right. I watched, I listened to half of the thing that you sent, the Annie Elise.
Yeah, what do you think? I gotta know.
So, guys, what we're talking about. So tomorrow, the Amazon Prime series drops. And how many episodes is it again, Shay?
I don't know. I don't know.
But it all drops at once, right?
Let me look.
Oh, we don't know shit.
I mean, hey, I did enough to remember that it was an adaptation of the Vicky Ward and James Patterson book.
Listen, I can't remember your birthday 2 months ahead of time and how many episodes drops with the Prime. It's too much. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Angel D. So, yes, okay. So Shay had just sent it to me, and so I listened to half of it as I got done with work and right before I came on. But I get to listen to the other half. But the first half, which part of me is like, don't spoil it for you, Melissa. You've been waiting for so long. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. But I'm
I
like,
think the first half was the most intriguing part to me, just to be honest.
she had a screener. Thank you. 4 episodes. And do they all drop at once? I think they all drop at once, right?
That's what I was trying to find. I remember pulling a presser on it, and I can't remember if it said that. It did.
Okay. That is what I will say. So Annie Elise got a screener, which basically you get early access to like I guess that's what a screener is. And so she had access to this Prime series like weeks ago. And so what's different about this one, Gia K, is that we are going to hear people speak out for the first time. We're going to hear Hunter speaking out, Emily speaking out, the triplets, Ethan's triplet siblings.
And the last few lives we've done, we've played like interviews that are kind of like teasers of the series.
And we're going to be finding out more details of what happened, that infamous 911 call. And honestly, just the little bit that I've heard, and this is Annie Elise relaying it to us from her interpretation, which she included some clips, but it makes a little bit more sense, and I'm so happy to say that. And what I'm referring to is
can we play that part, just the audio of what she plays?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on. All right. So
I know we don't like to cover people's lives, like that, but I do think just the whatever she shared that came from the screener was fascinating.
It was very fascinating. Let me get that up, and then I'll drop the link so you guys could watch the whole thing. Maybe if you don't have Amazon Prime, or maybe if you want to wait till tomorrow. I definitely watch this.
There's some things like she shares towards the end that like I don't agree with. But she's just covering it based on like what is going to be in the documentary. And it's somebody that I've seen on another show. She was like one of the admins of like the Idaho group, Alina or something. But she's like really dead set on she thinks that Kohberger is Papa Rogers, and they keep saying that nobody knew about this sheath like 3 weeks like into the murder. I'm like, no, they knew the first week because I've gone and looked this all up. Like his local businesses were talking to Bryan Kohberger and others that the police came in asking about current knife sales. We've known the first week.
Yes, we did. And there were a lot of people who also said it would be a K-bar knife, like, because Wolfie was one of them. Like, I didn't think like that, but I do know that there are people who do think along those lines and figured it out pretty quickly. And there she is. So this is how far I got right here. I don't know why it's paused on like a leg. I swear I just randomly stopped it. But that's how much I watched, which is literally almost half, like I said. So Alicia, that's funny that you say that. Like, are you supposed to do that if the program has not even released? So I was thinking this, but then I was like, okay, but wait, the whole point of reaching out, in my opinion, to a creator like this, knowing that they cover true crime, is to help push it. But at the same time, is it an issue to be releasing things? Because I would imagine that's an issue, but I don't know. But then I'm like, all right, well, you've had it for weeks. Why come out the day before with it? Unless you weren't supposed. I don't know. But I genuinely don't know.
I think it's marketing. I really do. And she just shares a couple clips. She's not playing video from it, So maybe they like allowed her to like kind of tease some things. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. Well, correct, Harley. But they said in the first press conference that it was that there was a stab. What did they say? They said that there was a stab. They died from a stabbing. But what did they? Oh, when they came out with the K-bar and said the type of weapon, the logical conclusion to make was that they had something. And if they don't have the knife itself, what other way would you be able to determine what type of knife it was?
Right.
Unless you had the sheath.
And then there was like early reporting through some journalists that found that out about them asking about the knife sheath, or knife sales. And I don't think it was like something that people kind of remember the date of much, but I just remember this whole thing about that Papa Roger account talking about it and people putting a lot of levity into it like a year ago. I kind of went down that rabbit hole and I went down it again. So I'm like, that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
We knew about it a lot sooner. It didn't take a month to find out about it.
Well, Charisma, respectfully, there was no sheath found under Ethan. If you're talking about the injuries, that's different. But there was no sheath found under Ethan. So I forgot what I was going to say then. Yeah, they said K-bar, and that's too specific, which said they had the sheath. They wouldn't know a brand by the wounds. Thank you. But see, like my brain didn't go to sheath because I'm not a knife person, but Wolfie's did. I remember it. So, but also with Papa Rogers, you guys have to realize the account came back active after Bryan was already charged and arrested and made a post. It made a post.
Yeah. That part I know is kind of debated, but it is what it is. I just still think that person, and the other thing they were relying on is they said that he asked the Papa Rogers account asked questions that were questions that were part of Bryan's Reddit survey that he said he was doing for his paper for school, but those people found, well, I guess we didn't have those yet, so I could understand maybe why they thought that. I guess I wasn't kind of putting that together. Never mind. Forget what I said.
Okay, so here is the link to the video that I'm just going to play a small portion, and I think at least from the part that I've watched so far, this was the most interesting. And what this is going to be is Hunter and Emily explaining what it was like when they got the call from Dylan asking to come over. Emily explains, they were just messing around, but this is what's going to give us a lot of clarity with that 911 call, because I know we all have had issues with a few things, one of them being that the 911 transcript depicts, and what motion was that when was it the motion in limine regarding the 911 call and the text messages? And so it depicts basically exactly what we hear on the 911 call, but occurring prior to the 911 call, but we hear it occur in the 911 call. Well, now we get a little bit more clarity because Hunter had walked ahead of Emily and Emily's roommate. And so Hunter had already got in the house and Dylan and Bethany were outside. And that's when Emily and her roommate approach, and they could tell Dylan and
was
Bethany.
Was it Josie?
Say that again?
Was her name Josie?
Yes, Josie. Okay. And so Dylan and Bethany couldn't even, you could tell they were really freaked out. They couldn't really relay what was going on. And so as Emily goes to enter in the house with the rest of them, that's when Ethan comes down for the first time and pushes them right out of the house and says, call
Hunter.
911. So you got to call 911, get out, call 911. And that is what we're seeing depicted in that motion in limine. But what happens, and this is why basically it occurs twice, at that point, Hunter had gone in and he was able to see at least what was going on in Xana's room. He made the choice to shield the girls, which I have massive, whether he even consciously realized that's what he was doing or not, but he told them, call 911. Called 911, and he didn't want to say what he saw, so he said, just tell them there's someone unconscious. And that is why we have a lot of confusion when we listen to that 911 call, because it's like, well, how don't you know? Like, the phone is being passed around, it's confusing, well, I don't know really what's going on, and Then after the 911 dispatcher gets a little what's the word? You know, like she's like, listen, tell me what's going on. Is the person who's down breathing? You know, she's trying to administer help. And so
She's
that's
thinking there's like life-threatening support
right.
needing at that point.
Right. And so at that point, that's when Dylan's like, you hear her. I'm sorry, that's when Dylan goes to Bethany. Come on, we have to go check. And that's when they go in again for the second time, but actually walk up the stairs for the first time. And that's when you hear Dylan's like breath getting labored. And she's like, what's going on? And you hear Hunter. I don't see, this is the part that confused me a little bit, Shay, because I'm like, all right, why do we hear Hunter speaking for Xana out loud at that point and Ethan? But I think he may have saw that they were up there again. And so I don't know, but that's when you could clearly tell he's like back down, and they go back out.
I think maybe after we listen to it, we'll know. But my first inkling is like maybe he's just kind of, it's like a shock. Did I really just see this moment? You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's doing as he's told. It like becomes like, let me do as I'm told.
Right. And now it makes a little bit more sense why he says, I can't talk to her. That like you have to speak to her. I can't speak to her, because he did not want to verbally say out loud what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, just play it. Sorry, everybody's gonna be like, "What?" If they don't watch it.
What do you guys mean? It's not Hunter. Was it Hunter? Hunter Johnson. Not Hunter Chapin. Hunter Johnson. Oh, you think it's someone else's boyfriend? Oh, well, then that's a whole different path. I thought you meant like I was wrong as far as saying it, but okay, if we're speculating it's someone else, then that's a whole different story. Hi, Mallory. Okay. Oh, I was saying Ethan instead of thank you. I apologize. I
tried to correct you, but you were on a roll.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What was I saying? I was saying Ethan?
Yeah, you said when Ethan first goes and tells the girls, and then I was like Hunter, and then you corrected yourself on the next time, and you said then Hunter goes back upstairs.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Honestly, I just feel so out of my groove still with streaming, like, because I haven't been doing it. Like, my head's just scattered. That's no excuse, though, but I apologize. But then, now, you know what, Jada? That means you just confused me for no reason, because, no, you genuinely meant it just wasn't Hunter. So now we got so many different things going on.
But wait, Jaded, are you saying did you watch this, Annie Elise, and you're thinking that's not the audio of Hunter and it's someone else?
Yeah. Well, and I get that, Jonathan Clark, and we said this originally when the 911 call got released. People are really harsh on that dispatcher, but you have to remember the dispatcher's job is she believes that there is someone who needs aid rendered to them. And so you saying, well, I don't know if she's passed out, I don't know if she's breathing, but let me tell you what happened last night. Her redirecting Dylan, because that's what her job is, and saying, no. I need to focus on the patient. Tell me what's happening with the patient, because guess what? If one of them were still alive and that was happening, nobody would be, and I'm not saying you, Jonathan, I'm saying other comments I've seen, nobody would be complaining that the dispatcher is doing what she needs to do to make sure we could save the patient, you know? And
right.
So it's not about being nice. It's about they're trained. And not saying that there aren't dispatchers who screw up, because there are.
Yeah.
But in this case, I don't think that was a screw up. Obviously, we're compassionate and we have sympathy looking at it hindsight. But in that moment, she believes someone is down, and you're passing the phone around, and I'm not even able to give one person clear instructions of how to render aid.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you, but I have made a 911 call for an unconscious person before. And I remember when I was calling Melissa, I was trying to tell them the scene of things because I was just like in total shock and reaction mode, so my mom could like be present. And she just kind of stopped me and was like, basis to the facts of like breathing, you know, and just asking certain questions, and didn't want to hear what like I had to like what I saw. And then when the first responders got there, I was trying to tell them things I was seeing and talking to them, but they just said, just talk as we work. And I did that. And then Then I went up to the hospital and I told the nurses the same things I saw and showed them pictures. And so it was just kind of a different experience, you know. Like, I thought if I could tell them everything that I saw at the moment, they could help him faster. But the reality is they were just trying to get him where he needed to be, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and for sure, Gidget, we will be doing our thoughts posts. I just wish we could do a watch party of some sort, but that's why I'm trying to understand, do all episodes get dropped at once? Or is it I don't think it's a week to week up. That Prime doesn't do that, do they?
They do if they have series that they have that are just like their own, like, you know, but I don't know. This is more of a special.
Okay. I
So
don't know.
they very well may drop them all.
Harlot says, I don't know why, but for some reason when I saw this thumbnail, I thought she was talking about the friends of B Case who spoke out after the plea. I have no idea why. You know what? Thumbnails can be deceiving. I think
There was at the end. But they were like classmates.
Well, no, I think Harlot's saying not within the series versus they've spoken out since the plea deal.
Oh,
Like,
I don't know. I feel like Banfield had a segment, but I don't know what she was referring to. I think that there's been a few interviews. I'll look while we watch.
Okay. And I'm not sure, Vicky. I'd like to know. I'd like to know too. But okay, I'll just keep dropping this link, but I think this is around the part that I'm trying to get to.
Now, the girls did not know the extent of what was going on. Feel that something was wrong.
Okay. So right here, this is where I'm starting. Again, this is after. I don't want to play the whole thing. Here is the link, but this is the part where after Emily and Hunter get the call from Dylan, again, Hunter walks ahead of them. So Hunter gets to King Road, the house prior. But by the time the girls, Emily and Josie, get to the front right here, Dylan and Bethany are already outside. They can tell that they're very stressed, very worried, and they can't relay what's going on to them.
Frightened, just kind of like just hands on their mouth, like, I don't know what's going on type thing.
When the girls finally walk into the house, Hunter was already inside. He had been a few steps before them. They were a little bit behind. So he already was in the house walking around and kind of, I don't want to say investigating, but looking around. And when they walked in, they could feel that something was wrong immediately. Dylan and Bethany still weren't saying very much. They were just very confused. However, almost immediately upon entering, Hunter was like rushing them out, ushering them out of the house, saying, get out, you need to call 911. And when he told them that very specific instruction, you need to call 911, he didn't give a lot of detail. He told them, call 911 and let them know that there is an unconscious person. Now, the girls did not know the extent of what was going on because in that moment, Hunter had made the, in my opinion, very incredibly brave and courageous decision to shield them from the truth of what he saw, what he witnessed. He said, tell them it's somebody unconscious because he wanted to protect them. He didn't want them to spiral.
Hunter was ahead of me and Emily. I set foot in the house and immediately was pushed out. And Hunter was like, get out, somebody call 911. Hunter had enough courage to tell them to call the police for not a real reason. He worded it very...
Okay, so I'm going to pause for commentary because I have to commentate anyway. So I get a little, like I said, I get a little bit more clarity now because it seemed like in that motion in limine, it was repeated. Like, wait, what do you mean this happened prior to calling 911? Because we hear that happening on the 911 call. Now I understand it a little bit better, but still not fully, but I do understand it a little bit better. So he had already gone in. By the time the girls go in, he says, get out. Someone call 911. Tell them there's someone unconscious. So when Dylan initially calls 911, that confusion that we hear, the not knowing, would make sense because she hadn't gone to the top of the stairs yet and she hadn't leaned over and saw Xana laying there again. And when I say again, because when she initially passed a little after 4 a.m., right after Kohberger left to go down to Bethany's room, she did see Xana laying there on the floor, but she, I guess, convinced herself she was just drunk and passed out. So this would be the second time. But that was on the 911 call that happens. And I feel like that's when you hear the labored breathing and stuff. Hi, Lori.
Nicely. He said, tell him there's an unconscious person. Hunter saved all of us extreme trauma by not letting us know anything.
Now, I think now being armed with this information, it really does explain that chaotic 911 call. We all heard that 911 call when it was first released months ago, and it felt very chaotic. Everybody was passing the phone around, and nobody could say what really was happening. We heard somebody say that somebody was unconscious, but everybody was like, well, wouldn't you have seen blood? Wouldn't you know what was going on? Could they have been in shock? What was going on? And I think this really does set the foundation for that. Hunter had shielded them intentionally, so they didn't know what was going on. All they knew was that somebody was unconscious inside. And they know, though, of course, that whatever's going on, it's really bad. And so I think that really does explain the chaos of that call.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something's happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi,
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to.
So it seems like this is the moment that they go to walk up the stairs for the first time and lean over and would see Xana laying there. But you'll hear Hunter in the background saying, Xana, Ethan. And I'm not sure if he was already there upstairs when they walked up or now that they're there. I don't know. That part I hope we get more clarity regarding that. Right there. I think that's the moment where she got to the top of the stairs and looked over and could see that she was laying there. But Hunter's already walking back towards them. Like, she's passed out. What's wrong? But Hunter's face would have said everything.
Right.
What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yeah, 20. Here's one.
Okay. Hello? Hello? Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
You hear the way he said no? Like he was very aware, but it was so short. I do believe he wasn't trying to say out loud what he probably could not even process. And now that like I'm watching it, listening again, maybe the reason that he's speaking out loud because he probably went into a bit of shock the first time he peeked in, and then he's trying to verbally speak maybe without fully going in there to see, are they going to respond at all? Any noise? Is there a chance either of them are still alive? You know?
Right. That's the vibe I got too.
Yeah.
And they confirmed like too, like nobody even went upstairs.
Right.
Like they were
When
putting
did
2
he
and
get
2
the
together
knife?
later.
Did he get the knife after he went in for the first time between that and the 911 call? That's what I'm assuming, but that's an assumption I'm making.
I'm assuming he may have saw her in the doorway and then got a knife.
I think he went back in after he told them to get out for the first time, but they didn't go upstairs. I think he went back up. And at this point, he would have the knife in his hand to go back and check.
That's
He
heartbreaking.
does, Harlot. I already played that part. You hear him saying, Xana, Ethan. And that's what confused me. But listening to it again, I'm like, you know what? It probably was a disconnect of, did I really just see what I saw? Maybe there's a chance one of them is still alive, though. And calling their names more from that hallway so he didn't have to go back in. I don't know.
Right.
You talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello. Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again?
I'll jump back. He says Ethan too. Listen, it's very far away. Right there. Xana, Ethan. Do you guys hear it?
Uh-huh.
Xana, Ethan.
He's not waking up.
Then he says Xana again.
Okay. One moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
You want that article?
Hey, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20. You're 20.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
can't talk to him. They need you to talk to him.
Hello. Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again. There's the police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes. You have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:59.
So while they're waiting for the authorities and paramedics to arrive, they also are all standing together outside trying to make sense of what's happening. What's going on? What's happening inside? Where are our friends? All they know in this moment is that something very bad happened.
Dylan made a comment of, I can't believe somebody would do this. And
That right there, though, did throw me off a little bit, Shay. And I don't know if it's being played out of context. And there's more to that. Like, when was that stated? Did that not throw you off a little bit?
I mean, I kind of took it as this was being stated after the fact, because there was one point where they said it was stated in this video that I think Dylan started to like open up, afterwards to one of them about what had happened afterwards. So that's what I thought.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I put it in my mind that way.
I like hearing it, the original, because I never know. I'm like, is there more to that? Because just throwing that in there like that, I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
When was it immediately stated? Like, or was it after?
Right.
of, I can't believe somebody would do this. And I whispered to Emily, where's Xana?
Okay.
And
Sounds like
she
this
said,
was
she's inside. And I think she's dead.
I think all I wanted was to go wake Xana up. And I knew it wasn't going to happen.
Now, meanwhile, as all of this is happening, around 12 o'clock, so about roughly 15 minutes later, Ethan's brother, Hunter, is being woken up by a fellow frat brother saying, hey, police are over at King Roadhouse. They're at the King House. You need to wake up. You need to wake up. But Hunter wasn't really spooked by this. The King Roadhouse had a lot of parties. He knew that there were a lot of noise complaints all the time. So he's like, okay, like, who cares? Whatever, what else is new? But then he gets up and he starts going over to the house, and Hunter shares about what that moment was like when he found out. And I just want to mention before I play this clip, he does kind of laugh while he's speaking and recounting this, but it's almost this laugh of discomfort and disbelief, almost as though to this very day.
Okay, Mila, first of all, don't come in here with that shit. I don't need permission to play anything, actually, when you're using fair use. Second off, I ain't using this as my own. I dropped the link multiple times, and what did I say? I'm only going to play the small portion, but you know what? If I wanted to sit here and fucking play the whole damn thing and commentate through the whole damn thing, I'm allowed to, because it's fair use, baby. So cut it out.
He still doesn't think that it's real. He doesn't, in those moments, he didn't think that it was real. He also calls his sister, Maisie, the other triplet of the three of them, and he tells her that she needs to come over to Xana's house, although he does not give her specifics.
Bitch, isn't she if you're going to make that argument, is she not stealing Amazon Prime's hard work? Do you listen to yourself? And you know what? You could tell Annie Elise if she has a problem with it, with me dropping her link and playing the small portion, she could come to me. But who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? Sorry for the interruption, guys. I'm just over shit.
He also calls his sister, Maisie, the other triplet of the three of them, and he tells her that she needs to come over to Xana's house, although he does not give her specifics as to why.
So I was walking over to the King Roadhouse. I saw a group of people sitting on the ground, and it's all the people I've been hanging out with. And they all just had this look in their face when I walked up, like the world had ended.
I remember seeing Hunter walking up, and I remember us all turning and being like, oh my God, like somebody's going to have to tell him what just happened.
Now, what I will say, and because he's definitely laughing, but this is why I think it makes a big difference between listening to an audio versus seeing him on camera, because I will never jump to the conclusion, and I've said this before in prior cases, I laugh when I'm uncomfortable. I totally laugh when I'm uncomfortable, and it's a coping mechanism. And so I do not, because I've spoke a lot this about Burke Ramsey in his interview with Dr. Phil. A lot of people felt uncomfortable because he was smiling and he was laughing. It is a coping mechanism for some. And when you can't process those emotions, sometimes you will just laugh to offset how uncomfortable it makes you. So I don't look at that as like, why is he laughing? Well, if it's extremely traumatic, he could be laughing, but also if you're going to listen to what he's saying, it's almost like there was a disbelief that there was anything wrong, and the laugh is coming in like, I was not in that mentality whatsoever. That's
right. I'm glad she did preface it, though.
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad Annie did preface it, though, because there's just some people that like might, because that's not like a reaction they may have or like be used to, and they could just take it wrong, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But you know what, Shay? People are going to take it wrong no matter what, you know, if they want to take it wrong.
For sure.
Walking up, and I remember us all turning and being like, oh my God, like somebody's going to have to tell him what just happened.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, where's Ethan? And they're like, Ethan's not here anymore. What do you mean Ethan's not here anymore? I was like, well, where'd he go? And they're like, your brother's dead. I was like, that can't be true. And then Hunter Johnson was like, I think Xana, Ethan were murdered last night. Didn't even know how to respond to it, because it's like so unreal that someone I'd spent almost every minute of my life with. I don't even know. Just sorry.
See how the chuckle comes in? Like the chuckle comes in as like disbelief.
Yeah.
And well, this is also his first time speaking out loud, at least in the public eye. I can understand that. Saying it out loud and coping with it internally is two very different things. And sometimes when you're saying it out loud and telling the story for the first time, hearing yourself say it can also make you extremely uncomfortable, because you're used to internalizing it and thinking about it, but not used to saying it out loud and experiencing the emotions as you're saying it. And thank you, Jean. Can you be more sassy towards Susan Pip? It's just thank you so much. Yes, I could, but should I? Probably not. Mila, you guys could remove. You could just remove her because she's not.
Nobody's making fun of him.
Account. Absolutely not. Literally defending him. That's why I'm saying just remove him. That's just a troll account.
I was about to say, like, I don't know if you've been on TikTok, but they are the world's worst with using copyright stuff and not even tagging the person. So I've already seen this all over TikTok. So go on, have fun there.
Yeah, they're you know, it's a brand new account just doing what they do.
Yeah, being an asshole.
Yeah,
we're not being an asshole. We accredited Annie's work, so fuck off.
Oh, absolutely. And I opened it with literally saying, I'm not playing all this. Definitely go over and watch it. I'm going to play the small portion. But it just people want to just people. People want to people.
Yeah.
But
Annie
I have to remind people, even if I wanted to, though, I could. And it's very used. Do you know there's creators out there that all they do is play other people's stuff with commentary? Like that is their content. But I digress. It doesn't matter.
No, tell us more about it. Sorry, I'm just fucking around. I was gonna say the irony though is like, I mean, I like Annie, and Annie streamed the Karen Reed trial. Like, I don't know which feed she pulled from, but, could you say that she's using somebody else's work,
You could sit there all damn day and make that argument, but there really is a difference between someone taking someone else's content versus taking something that's exclusive that you can't get somewhere else at the time and actually reviewing it and commentating it. That is fair use, and that is why there are laws that protect that. They're not the same thing as you can't play it and pause every 10 seconds and give your thoughts. Yes, I sure damn can, and I could do the whole thing if I wanted to, but I don't want to because people should go over and go give her the view and watch it there. But I want to play this part, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
It's been out more than 24 hours. It's not like you like,
comes
we're like,
all
she
out
just
tomorrow.
dropped it.
It comes all out tomorrow.
It's a like button for her.
The first person I called was Maisie.
Literally, all Hunter said was, "You just need to come to Xana's." And I asked him why, and he was like, "Just come."
Don't ask any questions. Have someone drop you off.
I remember sitting in the car, feeling like I was like feeling like something was wrong. It was weird.
Now, after realizing the severity of this, what's really going on, and being hit with all of this information, Hunter calls their mother. And he keeps repeating to their mom over and over, "They aren't here. Ethan's not here. Ethan's not here." To which his mom is just saying, "Okay, well, go get him. Like, go get him then." But he just could not say the words. All he could say is, "He's not here." To when finally then he said, "He's not on this earth anymore."
Then it finally clicked. Oh my gosh, where's Kaylee and Maddie? Their phones are pinging in there. Their phones are inside that house. We didn't know if they were home. We didn't know if they were in there. We didn't know anything. We couldn't get a hold of them. I was sitting next to Dylan, and she really wanted to find out where they were, and we never went up there.
Then suddenly, while all of these friends and siblings are kind of gathering out front of this house, trying to make sense of what's happening, they get told that Ethan and Xana have been found and that they are dead. But then in that moment, they realize very quickly that they had all been consumed with Xana and Ethan, with what happened to them. They take a moment then and stop and step back and say, well, what about Kaylee? What about Maddie? News, of course, spreads very fast. We're in the era of text messages.
Okay. So now I'm going to pull up this article that's going to give us, have you read either of these, Shay?
Yeah, one of them I had sent you. I don't know if it was the one I sent you already, but I sent you another one because I told you people were losing their mind on the Reddit forums.
Right.
It may have been another article that, because people's been doing almost like daily articles since the last couple of weeks. So I know people were sharing it, and there was a lot of commentary around it.
Okay. So this one, and thank you, Pickle. This one says the frantic texts went unanswered. Then friends of the Idaho murder victims found the unthinkable inside a night of horror. So it says on July 14th, the Idaho 4, hold on, sorry, these pop-ups are very annoying. Okay.
Totally. Yeah, just so you know, that was the one that I sent you right there previously, that I said a lot of people had speculation on this.
Thank you. Hi, Kelly. So it says, out July 14th, the Idaho 4, An American Tragedy by James Patterson and Vicki Ward reveals shocking new details about the quadruple homicides. So we already know the need to know. So the University of Idaho junior, Dylan Mortensen, wasn't sure if she was dreaming when a shadowy figure in all black walked by her room in the dead of night in the off-campus rental house she shared with 4 close friends. Sometime after 4 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, 2022, Dylan heard strange noises in the 3-story house at 1122 King Road in Moscow and swore she heard a male voice say, quote, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." In her somnolent haze, she thought the man was a firefighter holding what looked like to her like a vacuum. At one point, they made eye contact. I'm telling you, I really know he saw her. Like, I feel it in my bones.
But
So
just remember that this people stuff is really surrounding, I think, the promotion of the new book that's, has the Amazon series. So that's kind of where I felt a little bit like in between about this,
yeah. Well, I'm just going to jump on anything that has them maintaining eye contact or having eye contact because I believe it in my bones that they did.
I would love to know that too. I agree. Like, that's one thing I'd really like to know.
Mm-hmm. So it says Dylan had no idea that what was unfolding before her very eyes would become one of the most shocking crimes ever to take place on a college campus. After a night of panicked texts and unanswered calls to the three of the housemates, running for safety to housemate Bethany Funk's room on the ground floor at about 11:50 a.m., Dylan asked her Phi Beta, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Phi Beta Phi Big Emily Alant to come over and check out the house. Just before noon, Emily's boyfriend, Hunter Johnson, who went upstairs to the second floor ahead of the others, made the most bone-chilling discovery of his life when he found Xana and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, dead of apparent stab wounds in her blood-stained room. Soon after, police found Kaylee and Maddie violently stabbed to death in Maddie's room. So that tells us he never went upstairs. So new details about what happened inside that house are revealed in an explosive book debuting on July 14th, The Idaho Foreign American Tragedy by James Patterson and Vicki Ward, as well as in a new Prime Video docuseries premiering tomorrow, One Night in Idaho, The College Murders, and in People's exclusive cover story this week. Based on hundreds of interviews, the book goes in depth into the lives of the slain students now known as the Idaho Four, shedding new light on what happened that tragic night and the unthinkable scene their friends came upon. When Hunter got to the top of the stairs in the house, he saw Xana's bedroom door slightly ajar, according to the book. And here we have Hunter and Emily.
Yeah, it's a little bit more detailed, I'll warn you.
Opening the door all the way, he found Xana on the floor, face up, with blood everywhere, the book says. He saw Ethan in bed, facing the wall, dead from apparent stab wounds. Turning around, he went downstairs and told Dylan and Bethany, call 911 and stay outside, according to the book. Returning upstairs, he grabbed a kitchen knife out of the drawer, presumably in case the assailant was still in the house.
Did you say draw?
Out of the drawer.
Drawer?
Drawer.
Draw?
Draw. Just add it to the list, all right?
You're like Frenching it up over here like Joe Dierte.
How do you say it?
Drawer?
Drawer. I'm sorry. Yeah. The drawer.
Do you want to say Massachusetts?
No, I had to do it the other night.
It was hilarious.
Do it, yeah. So not again. So
I love you.
Returning upstairs, he grabbed a kitchen knife out of the drawer, presumably in case the assailant was still in the house. Just as he was about to head back into Xana's room, he heard Emily coming up the stairs and stopped her. Quote, Emily, I don't think Xana's going to wake up, he told her, according to the book. As Emily went back downstairs, he took Xana and Ethan's pulses, quote, knowing already that he's too late, the book says. Now, pause. We heard about that on Ashley Banfield very early on, that he took pulses and it made no sense. And then that's not what we heard during Steve's interview, right? And so we're like, I guess that was just a bad source, but we speculated the source was Steve. It's a little bit confusing, but again, I won't jump to conclusions here because the truth is everything we have heard really hasn't come directly from the people yet, and so
yeah. I'd like to hear it from Hunter's mouth at this point because, just kind of like certain things like that we want to know of people's experiences. Like, it's just been so much rumor mill. Like, I'd rather just hear it from them.
Right. So it goes on to say he checked the closets on the second floor and waited in the living room for police to arrive. and said that he didn't know whether Kaylee and Maddie were in the house, but feared the worst. He didn't tell Emily or the others exactly what he saw in Xana's room to protect them.
Which that goes with what we just listened to in the audio.
But he already knows the horrific truth. Xana and Ethan are dead. In December 2022, suspect Bryan Kohberger was arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the quadruple homicides. Maintaining his innocence, he had a not guilty plea entered on his behalf, and his trial was set to begin in August. In a surprise move on Monday, June 30th, the former graduate student, 30, asked to plead guilty to the murders to avoid the death penalty, according to a letter that prosecutors sent to the family members. He is expected to officially enter his plea at the hearing that already happened on July 2nd. Under the proposed plea deal, if approved by the judge, he would be sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in prison. So the Idaho 4 An American Tragedy by James Patterson and Vicki Ward is on shelves July 14th and available now for pre-order wherever books are sold. So let me see if this other one is any different. I don't know if it's like the same stuff, but here we have. So there's something, that's something I've never done in my life. Johnson, 24, tells People magazine. Okay, so wait. At 3 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, 2022, University of Idaho student Hunter Johnson got up and uncharacteristically locked the door to his girlfriend's off-campus apartment in Moscow. Shut up. Shay.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m., Sunday, November 13th, Hunter got up and uncharacteristically locked the door to his girlfriend's off-campus apartment in Moscow. Quote, "That's something I've never done in my life there," Johnson, 24, tells People magazine. "There was no noise," he says. "I don't know why, but something in my soul told me that I should go lock my door." As Johnson secured the door, his girlfriend, Emily Lant, her roommate, Josie Lauterin, and her boyfriend at the time all woke up. "We hung out in the living room for about 30 minutes before we all went to bed," Alant, 23, tells People. Less than an hour later, 4 of their closest friends, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, who were in an off-campus house right down the road at 1122 King, were viciously stabbed in one of the most shocking events ever to strike a college campus. Asked the next morning by Dylan Mortensen, who also lived there, to come check out the house because of strange going-ons the night before, Johnson went over first, followed by Alant. To his horror, he came upon the slain bodies of Kernodle and Chapin in her second-floor bedroom. "I was like, what is going on?" Johnson tells People. "Is this real?" Then you realize the gravity of what you just walked into. At that moment, you don't really realize what you walked into until you really look at it and process it, which I do believe. I absolutely do believe. News of the gruesome scene he came upon, the quadruple homicide of promising college students who became known as the Idaho 4, quickly swept through campus and across the nation, holding the public in thrall. Now, for the first time, Johnson, Alant, and others are opening up about what happened that fateful morning in a new Prime Video series premiering tomorrow, and in the book of Patterson, and in an exclusive cover story in this week's issue. The book and docuseries go in depth into the lives of the carefree college students and reveal shocking new details about the barbaric slangs ending their friends' young lives. The docuseries and book come a month before the highly anticipated murder trial of Bryan Kohberger, and arrested on December 30th, 2022. Kohberger reportedly accepted a plea deal with prosecutors, which means he will avoid the death penalty. Kohberger is expected to plead guilty. Okay, he is also expected to waive all rights to appeal the verdict, according to the agreement cited by NBC News. Sometime between 4 and 4:20 a.m. on November 13th, police said an assailant dressed in black with a ski mask, obscuring his face and armed with a fixed-blade combat and hunting knife, slipped into the sliding door of the kitchen at 1122 King Road, crept upstairs and repeatedly stabbed Mogen and her longtime best friend Goncalves. Kernodle, who got a DoorDash delivery at 4 a.m. and was scrolling on TikTok at 4:12, according to police, and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, also 20, were the assailant's next victims. That was our last day living as kids, Johnson tells People. Our innocence was gone, adds Alon. So there's a couple of things, okay? When he went to take his plea, what was he holding? A container, Santa said.
I don't know. That's because remember we thought it was like they said a vacuum thing at first, you know?
Well, that's what Dylan thought she saw, but a container is very interesting to me because we were also told he had some type of kit he left at the sliding door.
Right.
I think he really came prepared, Shay.
Oh, I think so too. I don't doubt it. I mean, I think he obviously studied a lot that I think he knew what he needed to try to do to prevent any kind of contamination, etc.
And to know that the car was so meticulously cleaned, there was nothing. Even Thompson explains that part of your door that shit just falls into, nothing. Harlot says, hearing it described as both a container and a vacuum type object makes me think of the clear cylinder thingy that collects the dirt on an upright vacuum. That's interesting. I think because Steve Goncalves said a kit at the door, like a bag of some sort.
I remember Chris from the interview room. They were looking at that picture of Maddie when she's sitting down at her vanity.
Yeah.
And they were thinking that there could have been something like cylindrical there, like on the top. But I thought it looked like maybe, you know, they have the little tubes that you put like your like you could put like your hair dryer in, you know, or your tools, like something like that. Like your hair tools, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only other things like I've kind of seen people like look at and talk about, other than maybe like, did he take something from Xana's room? I don't know.
No, I think he brought things with him, Shay. I think that car more than ever now. And listen, we speculated about this from the beginning. It's exactly what I thought. I always thought Xana crossed paths with him. I never speculated she went upstairs. I thought he was coming down the stairs and she was either going to the kitchen, from the kitchen, something, and they crossed paths and she ran back. And that's when Dylan heard there's someone here. But now I do think that there is a possibility that she may have walked up the stairs. Do you think she possibly walked up the stairs and that's what Dylan heard, all the steps coming down?
That's been kind of the theory that's been going around.
Oh, is it?
That it's possible that like Xana said like somebody's here and started to walk upstairs and then he comes down. I've heard that kind of being discussed a little bit more because I think it was like in the way the Dateline episode kind of talked about it. I was still kind of trying to process it all, you know? But okay, so one thing I think would really help is I think I felt like I understood the order of death based on the plea deal
Yes.
hearing, but I think that it would be nice if they could be more clear about that with people because I think there's still some confusion there. But remember Asget's video?
Yes.
I think her video was really helpful and it kind of made a little bit more sense, but yeah, I do think it could be Xana's scuffle, like a scuffle or something, but I don't think like she walked in on them maybe being murdered as much as she was like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm here to help you," you know?
Yeah, I never speculated she went upstairs. I always speculated they crossed paths. shows. Yeah, and that's what it was, Harlot, is that apparently there's elevation data that showed she climbed a flight of stairs. Now, I can't tell you, I have not seen that. I'm just telling you what I heard. And then some people, there was a source that claimed some of her blood was up there. I hadn't heard that, Harlot. Now, I do know Kaylee and Maddie were found, like, you know, there's the blood mixtures. Mm-hmm. And so it always made sense that Xana and Ethan obviously were second. But I don't know anything about Xana's blood being upstairs. Have you heard about that?
I heard that being speculation, yeah.
See, where'd you hear that allegedly, Annie? And I'm not saying it's not true versus what's the source of this? That's what I think, Debley, and that's what I always thought. At that point, if Xana and Ethan, possibly Kaylee was unexpected, but then Xana and Ethan, and now more so because we know he sat down, I think it was pure exhaustion, and he fully anticipated 911 had already been called, and he got out. She said one single non-media source said some of her blood was on the 3rd floor, but she said it hadn't been verified. Okay. Here, let me... This is the video we're talking about, guys. I'll drop the link to it. But she did a really great animation, and she did it for the Prime series, didn't she?
Yeah, and she's let people, she's said that people can play some of it, you know, just give her credit and give her a follow. She's trying to... Do
you remember that girl who stole Asget's work a long time ago and like claimed it was hers?
Van Life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she made this, and it's incredible. I love visuals. You guys know I love visuals.
You can see exactly what took place from moment to moment.
It's gonna move.
Let's get started. In this illustration, we're gonna start at...
I wish I knew how to do this stuff.
Yeah, she did a really good job. And she said what she was doing Datelines and Netflix information. Yeah. Okay.
Incredible.
Yeah, go give her a follow, guys. Seriously, like she's phenomenal. And she's done other cases as well.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Right. I'm glad though that she was able to, you know, connect with some larger media companies and
because she deserves a lot more followers than she has. It's all about like being able to get out there, but it goes to show you the size of your channel really doesn't determine how good you are. Like, because look, she has like a little over 20,000. She fabulous, super talented.
Yeah, hands down. I've heard a few people that like to create these being a little bitter about it, but it's kind of funny.
Oh, whatever. I think it's really good.
Like, not only one person can do 3D like creations.
Yeah, exactly. Like she did good. Be happy for her, but it's a great visual.
3:30 a.m. At this time, everyone is asleep except for Xana. Looking inside the home, we can see where everybody was. Starting at the 3rd floor, we can see where Maddie and Kaylee were sleeping. Maddie was sleeping on the edge of the bed, while Kaylee was sleeping near the wall. As we go out and drop down to the 2nd floor, we can see Dylan's room directly under Maddie's room. Continuing across the living room onto the other side of the home, we see Xana's room. She's sitting in bed scrolling on her phone while Ethan sleeps next to her. Minutes ago, she had just finished ordering DoorDash and has all the lights on while she waits. The last roommate to mention is Beth, whose room is on the 1st floor, directly below the living room. As most of them all sleep, Kohberger pulls into the neighborhood for the first time this night at precisely 3:30 a.m. We know this due to a home security camera that captures the intersection and records the coming and going of anybody that enters that neighborhood.
She did so good at doing, like, overlap.
As we continue, Kohberger drives past the home and notices that all the lights on the 2nd floor are still on. He drives on and loops around the apartment complex building. Because of the home security timestamp, we're able to know how long it took to drive this path. On his first pass, it took him 2 minutes and 38 seconds, And this is him leaving on the first pass. Now let's look at his next 2 passes and record the times.
I like how she did this part. When
She was past
recording.
2 of
did
him
a
entering and
great
leaving.
job, yeah.
And now this is past 3 of him entering and leaving.
You think he really did these passes because the lights were on?
When we do the math, we can see how long he took each pass. The last
What?
2 passes were normal without any stopping.
Like, you know, because we speculated from the beginning, like why he did so many passes, but it really does, especially when she's putting it together like this, like, okay, is it really because the lights were on and he waited for the lights to go out?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know that. There's still some theories out there that people still think that he somehow knew about the DoorDash order.
I don't think he knew. Now that, like, honestly, it was her video. You'll see in a second. She
Mhm.
shows the passes, but with the time, this is why I love these visuals, he didn't stop. And so I think he may have just missed this DoorDash driver and wasn't aware. I think there's a good chance he really did. That's why it would have been lovely to be able to hear the DoorDash driver, because even what she says in her body, she says she didn't say anything that would 100% certainly mean she saw him. You know what I mean? It's just even the knowledge of you could have passed him. I don't know.
So, do you think it's that maybe like Xana kept an outdoor light on, like to note like where the house is, and like maybe once she got her
For
food, she
sure,
turned
because
it off?
DoorDash even tells you when you order at nighttime, it
Mhm.
sends you a little notification, reminds you, please make sure that there's a light on so that the DoorDash driver can see. So if not outside, for sure inside. Who sits there in the pitch dark waiting for a DoorDash? You have a light on.
I mean, I do sometimes. I mean, outside I have a light off, but like try not to wake up the house if I have like
Yeah.
late night cravings.
I think that kitchen light was onto the slider.
Mm.
And that's why he kept pulling around the back, because
To
he got
see.
that clear shot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still brazen though to know that you would go in there like
Right
minutes
after
after
the
it gets
lights
turned
on.
off.
No,
Like,
that's why I'm saying, do you really think it was just the lights being off? Because he didn't even give it time.
I don't know. That's why I kept thinking like maybe there is something to like, I don't know, it'd be hard to knowing something with like knowing that DoorDash being dropped off. I could see why people still have that theory.
Yeah. Hi, Natasha. What do you mean the last frame is the same as the first? What does that mean? Sorry, I'm not understanding. Do you understand what that means? The last frame is the same as
Oh
the
yeah. So it says past one. It has the same times. So yeah, it says past 1, 3 minutes, 30,
Oh.
28.
Oh,
So
well,
she
yeah.
did. It
Why does
wasn't.
that say that?
I guess she was copying and pasting it and just probably didn't update it.
Let me jump back then. Let me see.
38 seconds. And this is him leaving on the first pass. Now let's look at his next 2 passes and record the times. This is past 2 of him entering and leaving. And now this is past 3 of him entering and leaving.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't have the time. No, see?
When we do the math,
Oh.
we can see how long he took each pass. The last 2
Yeah,
passes.
she must have messed up, because look, the time difference is different. She must have messed up there, which happens. But look, it would have been the same time if she calculated past 3 as the same as past 1. Nice catch, because I did not catch that.
Passes were normal without any stopping. But on his first pass, he took an additional 42 seconds to creep by the house, or even stop for a time to stare into the windows with the lights on. All this information has been coming from camera A, but there is a second camera located behind the apartment complex building, and we're going to call that camera B, located here. This camera allows us to see how long it took to get from point A to point B, and between the 3 security cameras' data, it took between 30.
Yeah, because past 3 is 3:57 a.m. So she just messed up, I think. That sucks to put so much work into a video because unfortunately you can't edit a video once it's already uploaded, guys. So the only option she would have, she probably has a edit in the comments by now, but you have to take it down, delete it, and then re-upload it again. You lose all of your views and stuff. It sucks. So it's sometimes easier just to do edit to add past 3 was inaccurate,
Right.
35 and 37 seconds. What this means is you didn't stop or park somewhere or go into a different direction. He simply drove straight from point A to point B at regular speed.
Yep, he was waiting.
These times help us understand the DoorDash delivery window. According to court documents, 2 times are noted. One is 3:59 a.m. and the other is 4 a.m. Bringing back our passage chart, we can see that the DoorDash time of 3:59 happens after Kohberger has left the neighborhood and before he...
But she has it as the DoorDash driver going to the front door.
And but I wonder if there was information given,
That's what I'm curious,
to confirm that, like what all she had.
Sorry, don't feel bad.
Natasha.
That was a good catch, Natasha. But go ahead, Shay. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, I was like literally like in sync with you. I'm like, don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad.
Just
you're
put on your
detail. That's a compliment.
I was actually thinking that before you said it. I was like, man, that's some badass and shit,
And we
Natasha.
didn't even know she was here. We summoned her out from her viewing pleasure just to make sure she was like, so past 1 and past 3 are the same. We're like, bitch, what are you talking about? And they were like, oh, you're totally right. You're totally right. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know if she has information. Yes, she does call the DoorDash driver. It could be as simple. I don't know. I don't know.
She says that she was given information from Dateline and Netflix. So whatever their source stuff is, she may not have talked to the sources herself, but that could have just been passed on to her to create it, like an agreement.
Well, and so it was such hard audio, Debly. Some people think she said I was parked right next to him, but I don't think that's what she said. There was another line that I do think was said, which was like,
What'd you say?
Passed right next to him or something. No, that was just me with my brain farting. I'm trying to remember what I thought was the other sentence that she said.
I didn't think it was parked either.
Yeah, it was like I passed right next to him, or I was something. But I could take it also as just the fact of you knowing you were that close and basically overlapped. She could be saying it like that.
Well, no, I remember what it was. It was that people were saying it was she saw Bryan, and you and I were like, maybe she's not saying she literally saw
right.
him,
Right. Yes, exactly.
He returns for his last pass at
she couldn't have parked right next to him because the times overlap. You see what the times don't overlap. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Very close, but not overlap. So he wasn't parked.
And apparently he parked behind.
It is possible the DoorDash driver saw Kohberger as he was parking his car, because a timestamp of 3:59 could be reflected when he took the photo of the food at the front door instead of the time he arrived. So it is possible he witnessed
she's calling the DoorDash driver
staring at the windows as he drove by. Continuing, as the driver leaves, Xana turns off all the lights, sits on her bed, and scrolls on her phone as she eats her food. A few minutes later, Kohberger enters the neighborhood for the last time. But this time, as he drives by the home, he sees all the lights are off. At the camera B location, he turns around to head back to the residence as shown in this video.
But he wasn't parked on Silent Bob, so what do you mean? I guess that's the part I'm not understanding. He wasn't parked.
When he returns to the front of the house, he does something unusual, so much so that it's noted in the arrest affidavit. On page 6, it states, when the suspect vehicle 1 is in front of Kings Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. It goes on to say that he continued onto the intersection where he did a 3-point turn. This 3-point turn was captured on camera A, which has a timestamp of 4:06. He appears to be calm and not overly anxious with his driving.
Yeah, they may have passed each other for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As he heads back in the direction of the residence, he takes one last look at the windows to make sure all the lights are off. As he begins to drive around the end of the apartment complex, camera B records the time of 4:07. Fast forwarding a little bit, Kohberger drives to the back parking lot away from other residences. He takes a few minutes looking around and sees that nobody's out and that all is quiet. He eventually grabs his things, gets out of the vehicle, and begins walking to the back of the home.
Okay, so she has in the back too.
At
Interesting.
approximately 4:13 a.m.,
So she
he
has
begins to
them
make entry.
in the back of the home as well. Like he's not parked on the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And we found that out from the plea hearing too.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I guess I just my brain.
At approximately 4:13 a.m., he begins to make entry. As he
Oh, so
steps in,
creepy.
he takes a minute to make sure everything is quiet and that nobody is truly up. He walks to the entrance of the living room and looks around. He continues to be cautious and stands there listening. Feeling confident, he continues upstairs. As he makes his way to Maddie's room, the time is about 4:14. Meanwhile, 2 minutes later, Xana takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16. As she enters the kitchen, she's a little shocked to see the sliding glass door wide open.
We've never heard that before.
You don't think that's a mistake, right? Because he said came in after. Okay. 4:12 is when we had the time that we knew she was scrolling.
Scrolling, yes. So this would be now movement.
Xana takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16. As she enters the kitchen, she's a little shocked to see the sliding glass door wide open. And at the same time, she hears a serious commotion going on upstairs. Hey everyone, I don't usually ask, but I'm building a small production company to bring you...
Yes, give her, stop, go over, subscribe, give her a like. She deserves it. This was fabulously done. Fabulously done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Harley, well, like, okay, 4:12, she was likely awake and scrolling through TikTok, but where would that information come from? And it might be, who knows? She worked on the series. That might be something we're going to come out and hear tomorrow, but she had prior knowledge of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, all she's asking for is a subscribe. Very well done. I'm happy that she goes on camera now too, so no one could even try to, because someone did try to take all of her credit, guys. It was regarding Idaho too, wasn't it? Just years ago.
Yeah, it was van life, and I remember Dietz even did a few videos on it.
Yep. So
it was
messed
just
up.
And that lady like took it and tried to say it was hers, and then it was being published by mainstream media with van life, and then people had to start correcting it.
How? Yeah, talk about stealing content. That's stealing content.
Literally stole it and put their name on it. They were like, I swear it's mine.
Yo, I remember, like, I don't remember specifically. I just remember it happening and stuff, and there was the big debate. And because she hadn't got on camera, I don't think at the time, you didn't really have anything to go by.
I think she was, also she was uploading stuff to TikTok, and so it was kind of confusing, like whose is this?
Right. Wow, man. Okay. She's a cutie.
Picking up where we left off. A source revealed that Xana's phone recorded steps and elevation change, which is how it's known she went to the kitchen and the third floor.
That's what I'd love to know. Her phone allegedly noted an elevation change. Interesting, if true. I never considered really her going upstairs.
Well, I mean, I was kind of curious about that. You're seeing several cases where they're using the Apple Health data,
Yep. Yep.
and I was like, wonder if I didn't think Brian had iPhone. I think he had Android,
Yeah.
but I know iPhones, a lot of people have that on theirs. And I was like, if they had it, you could see it. It'd be interesting. I wonder how that would have come out more in court.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do get that, Harlot, because it's hard. It's like, well, wait, what is this being based off? How do we know? Is it speculation? Is it something you were told? Like, I get that. And I do get a little bit when it's repeated as fact when we don't know it to be. But I'm curious what's going to come out tomorrow and see maybe if this is based off of something we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
I was
I don't
surprised to
know.
learn she went all the way up. Right.
I really wish that they would
Recorded
get
staff
like a. Sorry, God.
Like a what?
I just really wish that they would get more information, like from Brian, like made that part of like the plea deal. Like
That would have been nice to at least get, like, I didn't expect any details too much, but I expected a little bit more, like him having to give just you know what, like that could have been an easy way to solve a lot of issues, is to require him to at least just the basics, not gruesome details versus details only a killer would know.
Right. And but even whenever Bill Thompson says we don't have the weapon yet, it made me wonder if they're gonna try to get stuff like, because there's things we don't see, that it's more behind the scenes. Like, how we went over that form that you have to fill out for his plea, like prior to being in court, and then that would get like with the judge. So what's like on the document site like right now on the court docket is just like it's a plea agreement, but everybody keeps calling it his confession. I'm like, that's not a confession. Like, I would expect that maybe the questionnaire may have some information, but I don't know. I mean, they very well could. He doesn't have to talk.
And you are totally right, Amber. I didn't consider that she had gone upstairs until AT said in court about Dylan hearing someone going upstairs and running back down, and it couldn't have been Kaylee. You are right. She did say that.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, we always kind of hung on to the affidavit, and whenever we heard that, we were kind of like, interesting,
He should have to give up the murder weapon. Tell us where the K-bar is.
I think
only the killer would know that. Tell us where the K-bar is.
I think maybe in the Snake River and Long Gone, but that's just me. Well,
he could still say where it is, and then if they find it, okay. If not, then I don't know.
Was it the Frank's hearing stuff, Melissa? Yeah. That we got that information from? Because I remember that was like the first time we really heard more details about the roommate's testimony. I mean, not testimony, interviews with police.
No, I don't think she was wearing an Apple Watch.
But your phone can detect elevation and going upstairs. She could have her phone in her hands.
But she had her phone in her hand, then maintained her phone in the hand, then her phone would have been on the floor.
It could have been in her pocket. I don't know. I would think too, like, I don't know. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Okay.
An elevation change, which is how it's known she went to the kitchen and the third floor. When she walked up to Maddie's doorway, she interrupted Kohberger, who had just finished an intense battle with Kaylee, who fought back violently. After a second or two, he notices her, and then she turns away. Being dark, Xana didn't realize what she was seeing other than a shadowy figure. Out of fear, she quickly leaves. A single source, unaffiliated with the media, claims Kohberger injured Xana on the third-floor hallway, leaving evidence of blood there. But the single source of information has not been validated by.
That would mean that if there was blood up there, that means there would have been blood trailing all the way down all the way to her room, so I struggle with that one.
Okay, can we go back and listen to the hearing of what Xana says? Because I want to compare it after this.
Yeah, but he didn't get into details like that.
He said something about, I thought.
Yeah, about meeting, about there was basically what I speculated the whole time, but he didn't say anything that I could remember that at all indicated she went upstairs.
Okay.
But yeah, we could. I have it up already. But okay. Yeah,
No,
but the
sorry, I
lady
didn't
footprint
mean
would have
to-
been not Xana's.
Any more sources. Continuing, Kohberger, without thinking, pursues her all the way to her room, not realizing he had dropped the sheath of his knife. When he gets to the room, he attacks Xana, and the time is precisely 4:17:30. We know this because of camera A captured the sound of screaming and the thud. After attacking Xana, Kohberger focuses his attention on Ethan and attacks him while he slept. Afterwards, Kohberger must have sat down in a chair according to a report, which found blood smears on Xana's chair, perhaps from the exhaustion of what he had just done. This source also says that...
Sorry, hold on. Well, okay, like Harley, because the way I see it, not necessarily like a whole long trail, like even if enough to produce blood, I would anticipate to see a trail, again, not meaning it has to be one continuous trail versus a drip continuously from up all the way to there. And we didn't hear anything about that. But then I think about coroner Kathy Mabutt, who said, there was blood everywhere, but we don't know if that was limited to the rooms that the murders occurred in, or I guess we really just wouldn't know because we have such little information.
Well, okay, so at first, whenever everything came out, Melissa, there was the speculation that was what we thought was the running. Sorry, I think, come on. Was the running upstairs, like Kaylee fighting? Like, how you were saying, like, fighting back, like something against the wall?
Yep.
And I still haven't let that part go either. And the elevation change, could you tell if it was going like the exact time? Like, I hope so.
Well, she said at 4:16, around 4:16. If we're to believe that's accurate.
And okay.
I know.
I want to know too then. Okay, listen to this. Then if she's saying she's showing that she got the food from downstairs, like how is that confirmed? Is that by the DoorDash driver where it was left? Was she told that through a source? Would there be an elevation change for that time when Xana went down to get it? Like, I have questions.
We all do. Hey, Ava. It's terrifying that I think he would have gotten away with it if he didn't leave the sheath. I was just talking about that with someone a couple hours ago, hey, Mom. I think that there's a good chance. I think that they could have found him because even the single license plate was a big tip. It may have just taken longer to get to him, but I do not think that they would have had a conviction secured if they did not have that DNA.
Can I add something real quick, Melissa? And I understand the police already are going to know these things. I'm just saying, like, how these sources were coming to media, where we're at the point where the media company has shared source information with ASGET in this example to create this. Like, I just want to know if it's true. That's it.
I feel like we're going to know soon enough, though. I think Hippler is going to be very quick with removing this gag order. I expect it to be at sentencing. I just don't think it's going to be all at once. Like, I think we're going to get a good chunk at once, but then there's going to be things that are going to take time.
I think there's going to be a lot that's going to remain sealed, honestly.
Yeah. I think at least 15% probably will stay sealed.
Oh, I think more than that.
I said at least.
Yeah, I just have this weird feeling. I don't want that to be true, but I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just that like gut feeling. Like everything else has been just kind of in cloaked like darkness. So I just don't expect anything different.
You don't, Six Luna? In what way? Because like, and you know, we could get into it, but I don't know why people think that Bryan would plead guilty if he wasn't guilty. And I do know that there are situations where it may happen, but I truly, by the good vibes sign on the floor, they were collecting something and taking pictures. Okay, so maybe Jamie, droplets of blood or something.
Or I mean, or they could be looking for latent footprints.
Well, it's already sealed, Kelly. It's just a matter of lifting it. And I don't disagree with them as far as waiting till sentencing to lift it because it's going to be chaos. But there was such a tight gag order on this. I think that there are going to be certain things that they're not going to lift at least immediately, probably won't ever. But
I don't think crime scene photos are going to come out.
No. Maybe general around the house, but not of the victims or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think like any autopsy photos. There may be an autopsy report. It may be redacted.
Yes.
Toxicology report redacted, but like I think there'll be a lot of redactions. And those files are gonna be super expensive, like whoever gets it first.
Yeah.
Which I kind of think the media coalition is.
Mm-hmm. Right, Pickle, because you know what? There's a good chance that he may have look at the general public's perception of it.
Hey, Jamie.
Down in a chair, according to a report, which found blood smears on Xana's chair, perhaps from the exhaustion of what he had just done. The source also says that blood from the 2 roommates upstairs were found in Xana's room, showing that it was one person moving from one room to another. Kohberger sitting down was for less than 30 seconds. As he gets up to leave, Dylan, hearing the commotion from Xana's room, gets up out of bed and goes to her door to look out into the hallway. She freezes and sees Kohberger as he walks by and exits through the kitchen. She immediately closes and locks her door and retreats to her bed. Within 20 seconds of the encounter, she's calling and texting her roommates, but no one is responding. It takes Kohberger a minute and a half to get to his vehicle after the encounter with Dylan. But once in his car, he flees the scene at a high rate of speed and exits the neighborhood at 4:20. Dylan continues trying to reach someone in the house. And after 3 minutes of trying, Bethany wakes up and responds to the calls. They converse for 3 minutes and then Beth convinces Dylan to come downstairs. The time is now 4:26 a.m. Cautiously, Dylan walks into the hallway and through the living room. As she approaches the staircase, she can see into Xana's room and sees her laying on the floor. She then runs quickly downstairs to Beth's room, where they lock the door and for several hours continuously try contacting the other roommates. Back to when Kohberger left the neighborhood, he drove a particular route that would exit onto a road that leads straight to Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Melissa, are you able to answer Nika's question about the Chris Watts discovery? Sorry that you might know the answer better than anybody.
No, they did not release all the discovery with Chris Watts. I mentioned that I think it would be similar actually to Chris Watts. There's a lot of similarities. Just like Chris Watts, Bryan Kohberger stopped as he was heading to trial and took a plea deal. But we did not get all of the discovery for Chris Watts. There's still a lot we actually don't know. But we did get did get a decent part of the discovery, just not everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's one person moving room to room. And when I always thought when Bryan asked, has anyone else been arrested? I think he was talking about his parents.
Because they were zip tied in there?
They were zip tied in there. And I think, just me, I think that is it's just my speculation. that there were things shared. Maybe not the full, but I think that there were things shared.
Yeah. You know, a lot of things
He
that
called that those calls that we didn't know about really sold me with that. And I thought that before I knew about that, all the way when we were talking about the drive and we found out, the traffic stops. Now I'm even more so sold on it. And to know that he did those calls an hour and a half, not even 2 hours. Well, yeah, 2 hours after the murder, that length. And it was Howard Bloom who said that's the reason that Kohberger pleaded guilty, because he found out that his parents would be put up on that stand and would be subject to extreme cross-examination about what they spoke about. And there's a chance that they could pursue charges if you shared something on those calls.
Apparently it said that he called like one of a phone number that was like in his dad's name, and like one of the theories they were throwing out there was he was actually talking to his mom.
Yeah, that's what Howard said.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. And then there's still a lot of talk that people think that his sister called and like turned in a tip before his dad went out there.
Mm-hmm.
That he had like hurried that trip to get out there. And I do think it's really interesting. I'm very curious. I think it would be hard for any parent to think their child did something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But those calls, 6 a.m. like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was normal, in my opinion.
No, I do not.
And for several hours, continuously tried contacting the other roommates. Back to when Kohberger left the neighborhood, he drove a particular route that would exit onto a road that leads straight to Washington state line. And about that same time that Dylan runs to Beth's room, Kohberger is entering Washington state. This is all part of Kohberger's pre-planning, including finding a place to stop and get rid of any evidence. This place here fits that planning. This area here, pointed out by the arrow, is a little group of trees with a small area that you can park a car on. This is what it looks like from the road.
This is
at
interesting.
4:30 in the morning, while changing clothes and getting cleaned up at this location, one could feel completely safe while being able to see the headlights of a car coming from miles away. As this pivots around, you can see how this is out in the middle of nowhere, and a pre-dug hole near some of these trees would hide forever any evidence that Kohberger was trying to get rid of. It's important to remember that Kohberger was studying criminal behavior and the legal system. This would have motivated him to plan things to the smallest of details, like plastic on the seats to conceal DNA, or crossing state lines because the jurisdiction of one area would take hours to get assistance from the other. He's also smart enough to know that this 10-minute stop would likely never be on the radar of the authorities, especially after he crosses back into Idaho and then turns his phone back on. Let's pick back up where we left off at his 10-minute stop. He continues on with his plan, knowing that he's completely cleaned up and that there's no evidence to tie him to any of the crime if he were pulled over at this point. After getting on Highway 95 and turning south, he turns his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. This section of Kohberger's travels comes from his cell phone data extraction. Let's orientate ourselves onto this map and get a better understanding of the timing. Kohberger leaves Kings Road residence at 4:21 a.m. Just 8 minutes later, he arrives at his stopping point where he gets rid of all the evidence. After the cleanup, he then drives back into Idaho and turns his phone back on.
Is she just
near
basing
a
this
town
on the
named Blaine.
affidavit?
This was referenced in the arrest affidavit, along with the next town called Uniontown. The last place to reference is where he's seen on cameras near his apartment at 5:25 a.m. Using Google tools, we can get accurate timing information. This entire route took 54 minutes. If we add the 10 minutes stopping time to that, it would be an hour and 4 minutes. Now, if you add that hour and 4 minutes to the time he left King Road, it would equal 5:25 a.m., the same time the camera captures him on the cameras near Washington State University. The last thing to compare is this part of the route, which has a reported time of 38 minutes to drive without any stopping. Bringing back the time record and adding in the second leg information of 38 minutes, we can now add that time to when he turned his phone back on, which was at 4:48 a.m. After adding the 38 minutes to that time, it gives us 5:26 a.m., nearly the same time that was captured on the campus cameras.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Super, super interesting. So now if I jump to this, and he answered, he was emotionless. Yes, yes, no, yes. He was emotionless.
I think I heard somebody say like his first one was like really loud, like he didn't expect it to be that loud.
Because he's not this meek little timid boy. I like the Forrest Gump reference I saw in the chat that they're trying to make him out to be. But did you see Anne hesitate when Hippler asked, have you had the time to go through all and review all the discovery? And she's like, yes, because she can't say no, but she wanted to make it known that no, because I've been arguing that for months, but.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's hear what Santa said.
The state at this time to provide its recitation of its factual basis had this case gone to trial.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the organization of the recitation is different than what I think the court and the public may be familiar with from the probable cause affidavit and other documents. The state's evidence, as an overview, would show that back in March of 2022, when the defendant was residing in his parents' residence or was residing back in Pennsylvania, his home state, he purchased online a K-bar knife and sheath with an Amazon gift card that he had purchased shortly prior to the purchase of the knife, sheath, and sharpener. Jumping ahead, the end of June of that year, the defendant, Mr. Kohberger, moved from Pennsylvania to Pullman, Washington, which is right across the state line from Moscow, Idaho, for the purpose of pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University. The state's evidence would indicate that beginning July 9th of 2022, Mr. Kohberger's phone began connecting to a cell tower that serves the area of the 1122 King Road residence in Moscow, Idaho. Now, I will acknowledge for the court and all present that there are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants. Between
a lot of people felt like he was kind of like lessening the state's case in some of these
he was
statements.
doing that because he was trying to point out, listen, for him to enter into this plea deal, he also has to make it aware that there's a reason that they're entering into. So I think he was doing that and making it a point to show the flaws, right? So that it makes a little bit more of a justification of why would the prosecution be entering in this plea? And by pointing that out, it's showing, hey, taking this in front of the jury, at the end of the day, this is the truth. We have him all around on these cameras, but we have nothing that shows him going into that house. And that is a reason of why the prosecution might want to take a plea deal, because a jury can see that and say, hey, you can't prove he went into the house. So I think that is why Santa was making it a point to point out where there's a weakness in their case.
I understand on that one, but the one comment we'll get to later with the assault, I really didn't like that he stated that, because we don't know if he may, what the motive was going in there versus what may have been distracted, and knives can be looked as an appendage for some that have those fantasies. And so I kind of felt like that part, like I understand he didn't want to say there was an assault, but it still felt like we don't really know.
Clear. There's absolutely not. Yeah, I know.
Right. That was the only part that I kind of was like, well, really, do you know that there wasn't a motive to that got distracted? Like, we don't know.
Right. Well, and you could get sexual gratification in other ways. But as far as, no sexual assault, though, I understand that. But yeah, it was the way he said it. I'm going to play it, but I'm going to run to the restroom. But I can
go for it.
Because my cottage is small.
Just mute yourself.
2022 and November 7th, the defendant's phone connected to that particular tower during late night, early morning hours, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. on approximately 23 times. Now, I will acknowledge also, we do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area on those times. In the interim, on August 22nd of 2022, Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Darren Duke conducted a traffic stop in the early morning hour or late evening hours, about 11 p.m. On the west side of Moscow, on the Moscow-Pullman Road. This was a traffic stop of Mr. Kohberger's car, which turned out to be a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates. During the course of the traffic stop, Deputy Duke was able to obtain Mr. Kohberger's name, Bryan Kohberger, his phone number, and his address, which at that point was an apartment address in Pullman. We then move to the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The state's evidence would show that early morning hours on that day, Mr. Kohberger's phone left his Pullman residence, which is an apartment in kind of the central northwest part of Pullman. That phone was then subsequently turned off at approximately 2:54 a.m. and remained off until approximately 4:48 a.m. on Sunday, the 13th of November. The state's evidence would include a trial, video surveillance of a business on the Moscow-Pullman Highway, just across the state line from Moscow. It would show a vehicle matching the description of the defendant's Hyundai Elantra entering Moscow at approximately 3:02 a.m. Compiled surveillance that the investigators put together from businesses and residents then show the defendant's car, the white Elantra, as I've described, circling the 1122 King Road area, that neighborhood.
I know.
Starting around 3:30 or so in the morning.
It was so
comes into the immediate area of 1122 King Road, which is actually on a dead end, and then leaves several times. And approximately 4:05 that morning, the defense car had entered that area, was leaving, stopped at the intersection of King and Queen Road, did a U-turn, and the state's evidence would show that the defendant's car came back and parked behind and above the 1122 King Road residence. The state believes that its evidence would then show that the defendant entered the residence of 1122 through the kitchen sliding door on the back side of the residence, which is the side of the residence that would face the area above where the defendant's car was parked. Defendant entered the residence, went to the third floor, and with a knife, killed Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves. The defendant, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed next to Madison Mogen's body. And I can jump ahead. That sheath was tested by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, and single source male DNA was found on the snap of that sheath, as well as blood from both Kaylee and Madison and other trace evidence. But it's important to note single source male DNA was on the snap of that sheath. The state's evidence would show that Xana Kernodle was still awake at this time. In fact, had taken a DoorDash order not long before this started. Her room was not on the third floor. It was on the second floor on the west side. As the defendant was either coming down the stairs or leaving, he encountered Xana, and he ended up killing her also with a large knife. Ethan Chapin, Xana's boyfriend,
As he was
coming down.
in their bedroom, in her bedroom, and
His confession was this, Andrea, him taking the plea. There isn't a confession like recorded or anything.
Yeah, I think that like news media outlets are like stating, like I said earlier, that the plea agreement that's on the court documents is his confession. It's just a plea agreement.
I mean, I guess technically, yes, it is a confession because he has to confess and admit guilt for the plea agreement. But that's all it is. Which
Yeah,
we went through that and told everyone what the exact questions were going to be. Without the obviously specifics to this, but you would have to admit the guilt in order to take the plea.
And Judge Hippler mentioned him filling out a form for that, but that was not released to us. We only got to see the plea agreement that was signed on this day. And then he's not being, from what we know right now, forced to allocute, which means tell everything.
Yes.
And allocutions aren't always true. I mean, we heard about the allocution from what is his name? Vandersloot, remember, with Natalie Holloway that she finally got, and then
great example, yeah.
Yeah, they said that like a lot of what he said just didn't really make sense, but the fact that he admitted that he did it like gave some peace for Natalie's mom.
Right.
So it doesn't mean they're always going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, on Silent Bob.
But I do hope that they put something in at sentencing where he can't like reap benefits off this, because they don't have a Son of Sam law in Idaho.
They don't have a Son of Sam law, but a lot of states do have like their own version. So I would anticipate Judge Hippler to make sure something is written in that he knows. I don't think he would move forward without something.
Yeah, I don't know.
The defendant killed him as well with a large fixed blade knife. Each victim suffered multiple wounds.
Who isn't
I will
over
state
it?
for the record that there is no evidence there was any sexual component or sexual assault on any of the victims. I want to make that clear so there's no speculation. There were two other roommates in the house, and they were already asleep. During the course of this, one of those roommates awoke, looked out her door not knowing what was going on, and saw the defendant, who was dressed in black with a black balaclava on.
Pause. When I was watching this in real time, I was paying very close attention to Bryan, because Bryan is the only one who knows the truth. And with narcissistic tendencies, and I'm not saying Bryan is, versus what I was looking to see, is a smirk or an indication that they got something wrong, because this is the state's best narrative based on evidence, and him as the killer knowing the very little details, there might be a change in his body posture or a smirk or something that would indicate, no, that's not what happened, or something like that. But he was just so cold.
Right. I agree. I think that when they're hearing the terms, like, people are using confession and plea deal like synonymously, but technically confessions are something you'd make for law enforcement, and you could use that evidence in court, where the plea deal is made with the court.
It's an admission, not a confession. Not here, Coffee and Skeletons, but I don't know.
No, we don't. I mean, we think he did it. So
yeah, we think he did it.
Container in his hand, and she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned before. At approximately 4:20 that morning,
he's listening intently.
So this would have been 15 minutes or so later, the defendant's car is seen on a surveillance camera for 1112 King Road, which is immediately next door to the west of 1122, leaving the area at a high rate of speed. And if the court were to see that, or anybody in this courtroom were to see that, you can see the car almost loses control as it makes the corner, heads north, and then turns to go south on Walenta, which is one of the only ways to get out of that part of town.
apparently all the victims' families were to the left of them. Or right
yes,
of them.
that's why we don't see the left.
Did you see Dylan and Bethany were there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highways, Highway 95, that would have picked up the defendant's car if he'd gone that route. And they did not show the defendant's car on that route during the time. So we know that he went through a variety of back roads in very rural isolated part of Latah County. About 4:48 that morning, the defendant's phone comes back on.
Right.
And the evidence will show that that phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks heading back north towards Pullman, Washington, where the defendant lived. About 5:26, starting approximately 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment, where he arrived at approximately 5:30 in the morning. Later that morning, Sunday, the 13th of November of 2022, Mr. Kohberger's phone returned.
What?
No, because I was reading Katie's comment, which was a great comment, but I was wondering, I'm like, I don't remember him picking his lip, but she meant licked. And I'm like, okay.
I was wondering that too. I was like, what did she mean?
I was like, when did he pick his lip? You know, like, did she mean scratch? And no, sorry, it was typo. Licked, not picked. Hey, Homer. He really was stoic.
Yeah.
Eerily stoic.
But and then a lot of his friends like that were commenting that I've read, like I was reading that Idaho Statesman article, like one of the ones that was in the classroom with him, he said that like Bryan was always kind of like that, like very kind of a loner, but he was like super smart and like wanted to partner with him like in projects and just really, it seems like he's naturally kind of just like this. So I get that affect that maybe Anne was trying to explain. I think there's also that thing of where like you heard like, oh, where he was asking girls for numbers and pursuing like these other, stories of onlookers at that pool party that make people kind of question some of like his behavior, I guess you have to see it to fully understand it, right?
No, if there was a confession, Jules, we would have known about it and there wouldn't need to be a plea deal. You know what I'm saying? If he well, let me be clear. Actually, no, you could still plead not guilty even with confessions, aka Wade Wilson. But we would have known if there were a confession. There wasn't a confession prior to this admission. Hey, Jordan.
Confession is with law enforcement that can be used in court, and then a plea deal is made with the court.
Yes.
That's the difference.
And the area of King Road.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The document that's online is just him basically signing that he admits to killing the four of them. It doesn't go into any grave detail. It's a one-page document and he signs it. I think people are looking for the details as well. They're hoping to see that, and it's not out there for us. I don't know if something just hasn't been released or if it ever will be. I hope that they allocate it. Yes. I think some of the families that don't agree with this plea deal may want that information, and that's what they were hoping to get out of the evidence at court,
Yes. Well, and Scott, the header is that because, and I didn't even get a chance to get to all of that yet, but what's the narrative going on right now for the general public, aka YouTube? That he was framed, that he was forced into doing this plea, that he is innocent and they're trying to cover it up. Right. And so they will not accept, even when and this is what we said from day one, Shay, even if Bryan Kohberger says out of his own mouth, I did it, I am guilty. People aren't going to accept it. And here we are. We are.
Oh, there's like Reddit threads full of them. They're really interesting to read. Like people that believe that there's a CIA psyop and that really Bryan is going to be released on a back door after this is done and change his image, and that apparently there was somebody else that did it. And then my thoughts were like, well, if somebody else did it and Bryan was the informant, then why, whenever they did the alternate suspects, could they not proffer enough evidence for another suspect? That's a
great question. That's what I say all the time, because even though we had a bunch of redactions, Hippler responds in it and says there is absolutely no basis at all other than a hearsay comment, one hearsay comment that I think she got from the tip line, that you're now naming 4 people and using them as your alternate perpetrators.
Right. And I think the biggest kicker in what I was saying was that people are grouping like these theories, like they believe it's really a psyop, and like and they're like, I don't understand, like he's being forced by his lawyers. I'm like, I understand when there are false confessions, but this is a plea agreement. This is different.
Yes.
Like you are making the choice to say, I did this and serve consecutive 4 life sentences. And then other people can't understand the robbery charge. They're like, what did he really steal from the house? Nothing. Take the robbery charge off, or break in burglary or whatever. I'm like, guys.
Well,
it's breaking and entering.
Yeah, breaking and entering. Like, I think that even though I would have anticipated this would have came out sooner, like he would have known it sooner, but I can wrap my head around if he was told, your mom and dad are going to get up there, and there's a chance that your mom could get held accountable and criminally charged if you told her something. And that would, because I'm like, what would make him boom just like that? Boom just like that. And I know the alternate perpetrator got shut down, the alibi got shut down, them trying to bring in the extending the timeout, and whoever that redaction of a witness would have been, it all got shut down, but it still was so quickly done that I'm like, okay, I could wrap my head around having a soft spot for mom and dad, right? And knowing that your actions could ripple out onto them and get them in this, that he would be like, nope. I could speculate that, but that's just speculation.
Well, for me, I know we'll get to a little bit more into the Santa's statement, but it's whenever and I'm correlating this with the parents. My question, he says something about the car being really clean and there being cleaning supplies right next to the car in the garage. My question is then, like, did the parents kind of notice something was going on? We heard the rumors about the sister, but like, why would he be parking his car in the garage? Was that garage like usually like where one of the parents using it? Like, that's what's weird to me. Like, I mean, I don't park in the garage, so I can't say like my kids would park in ours. Like, ours is full of stuff. Like, we can't put a car in ours. But I guess I find it weird that, like, I kind of see it as a seniority thing. Like, why would you give it to your kid, you know?
Right.
And the cleaning, the excessive cleaning.
And freely doing it out in the open at his parents' house. I don't know. Got lots of questions. I do think, and I want to be careful because I've learned as a creator, I don't want to point the finger or involve any,
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to incite hate at all versus I've thought from when his dad was traveling back, and a lot of people wouldn't agree with me and said, I don't find that unusual. And I understood their point because I guess it's not unusual for everyone to have your parent fly down and drive back. It was unusual for me though, because I was like, really? But I kind of always speculated then, but then I would bounce back and forth. But then when I heard about the calls 2 hours after the murders, that's when I was like, yep. I really do think. And honestly, I don't want to judge them for it because I know we all want to sit there and think you give your kid up, but I think it is so much easier said than done. And I don't know. I can't sit here and say, this is what I would have done. I really don't know. I'd like to think what I would have done, but who knows what you really would do.
I don't know if they speculated. They may have, and if they have, they could have just been in denial. I think every normal parent would be. Yeah. But I mean, I do think that it is interesting, considering some of the details that came out, about like during the arrest, some of the things we said. But yeah, I also I think it's odd because I think a lot of people are like real protective not to talk about the Kohberger family. But there's a lot of people that trash the victims' families and the surviving victims. And like, I don't think anybody should be treated poorly. And just interesting to me to see how, like, how others are treated
Yes,
when they are the true victims.
for sure.
We don't know exactly what he did, but it returned to that area. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. He was there for about 10 minutes and then returned to his Pullman residence. About 9:30, the state's evidence will show evidence taken from the defendant's phone.
I think there is more of a likelihood that he was the 4chan looking glass than he was Papa Rogers.
You think he was 4chan?
I think there's a better chance that he was than.
Oh, I do. I definitely think he's 4chan.
You definitely do?
I do. I've always thought he was 4chan.
We should go back over those posts and stuff.
Yeah, I think we should. I think that there was a reason why he was pointing the finger in a different direction of the fraternity, and it's the being in the Poconos before like he was ever arrested that was like really telling. But the Reddit one, inside looking, outside looking.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm in the middle on that one, but the Papa Rogers one, I'm not completely sold. Although I think a lot of the things that are going to come out in this docuseries are going to focus more around the Edsel theory that's going around, where like apparently like one of his classmates like it just sounds like they studied Elliot Rodger, you know, and they're kind of putting together like the Papa Roger thing, and how it's so weird how the Papa Roger avatar picture looks similar to Bryan. And I mean there's a lot of really interesting things. I would love if we could just get some factual confirmation from the court or something, you know, on that stuff, because it does make you wonder.
Right. Hey Jordan, that's crazy. What did it message you saying? And yeah, Leon, it wasn't like a snow shovel, it was a metal pointed tipped shovel made for digging. Page 118 is creepy though.
The 118 one?
That pickle said page 118 is creepy though.
A lot of people think it may be a Ted Bundy like book or something that Dr. Ramsland wrote. I mean, I don't know.
Don't know.
He took a selfie of himself on his phone in what appears to be the bathroom of his Pullman apartment with a thumbs up. The defendant's phone then went to the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, approximately 30 miles south of Moscow and Pullman. And the defendant is actually seen with his car at various businesses down there. This area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is Idaho's seaport. Large bodies of moving water down there. In addition to tracing the defendant's activities, as I've just outlined, on the 13th and leading up to the 13th, the state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th, 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath.
Oh, November 13th.
That's the state.
Oh, I didn't realize he said on the 13th.
Interesting.
So, Kohbergers, how the hell
was that what
Bryan
Steve was saying?
Kohberger be searching a K-bar knife and sheath on the 13th if he wasn't the killer?
Okay, but I find this interesting, Melissa, because remember Steve said that there's something he searched early before anyone knew, but then
knowledge
whenever
of the murders prior.
But when they did remember that list of records that we went over? They made it seem like it was all in like November or December when he was searching that stuff. Or like later,
November,
after.
But we didn't realize it was the same day technically of the murders.
I doubt it was December. I want to go back and look at that. That's interesting. Maybe they held back some of that.
I didn't pick up on this when I was watching it. On November 13th. That's the day the murders occurred. But, you know, a lot of people think Saturday night, you know, into early morning. But that is the same day.
All right. Can you rewind it just to like a couple seconds? I didn't catch that either at first.
In addition to tracing the defendant's activities, as I've just outlined, on the 13th and leading up to the 13th, the state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th, 2022, Business records show that the defendant
Wait, that's confusing me. Wait, then you might be right. Is he saying the following Sunday or the following Sunday? Oh God, which way did he say it?
That's what I'm trying to interpret myself. Like following Sunday
Of November 13th, because November 13th is a Sunday.
Seeing the defendant's activities as I've just outlined on the 13th and leading up to the 13th. The state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th, 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath.
Okay, wait. Now I'm taking it totally different.
Meaning
Maybe
after.
Now just forget Sunday. I think he's saying following Sunday the 13th, like anytime after the 13th.
Right.
Oh shit. You could have taken that 3 different ways. This is why jeez.
I'm going right now to get that damn document.
Oh my
It's
God.
driving me
Because
nuts.
I was about, my heart dropped. I'm like, how isn't anyone talking about this? Because I heard it wrong. I mean, I technically heard it right. It was just the way he said it. I heard it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
After the 13th. That was a weird way to say it, Santa.
But
the state's evidence will show that following.
But maybe that's his point, though, is that he bought the knife, and not until after the murders does he start looking for another knife, and he hasn't been able to supply the one he bought. Like, meaning, say he's looking for it again beforehand. Maybe certain things sound silly, but I'm trying to come to reason with that.
Right.
Sunday, November 13th, 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath, as the state believes, to replace the one that was left at the scene of the murders. The evidence also will suggest that there were at least attempts by the defendant to delete or alter his purchase history on Amazon, where all these transactions had occurred. Later that week, the state's evidence will show that Mr. Kohberger went to what we would call DMV, motor vehicle licensing here in Idaho, in Pullman, to change his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. That's of note because Pennsylvania cars do not require a front license plate. The vehicles seen on the surveillance cameras of the defendant's car showed it didn't have a front license plate on it. At the time of the traffic stop by Deputy Duke in August, it was Pennsylvania plate, no front license plate. Mr. Kohberger proceeded to finish his semester of studies at Washington State University and returned to Pennsylvania for the holidays. Law enforcement at this point were aware of Mr. Kohberger, had been accessing information about him, were trying to find him. They located him in Pennsylvania, and they conducted what's called a trash pull. During the nighttime hours, agents of the FBI, who assisted immensely with this case, working with the sanitation department back in this neighborhood in Pennsylvania, took trash that had been set out on the street for collection, sent the contents of that from the Pennsylvania residence of the defendant's parents to the Idaho State Forensic Laboratory, where the lab experts there were able to identify DNA on a Q-tip as coming from the father of the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath that was next to Madison Mogen's body in the bed. Subsequently, an arrest warrant was issued here in Idaho, and a search warrant was issued in the state of Pennsylvania with the assistance not only of the FBI, but the Pennsylvania State Police. Mr. Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home to return to Idaho. Upon his return to Idaho, a DNA sample was taken from him, and it matched the DNA found on the knife sheath next to Maddie's body at the crime scene. I can tell the court and the public, the weapon itself, the knife, has not yet been recovered. I can tell the court that the defendant's apartment in Pullman was searched, as well as his office. Spartan would be a kind characterization. There was virtually nothing there. Nothing of evidentiary value was found. And of course, we're now talking 6-8 weeks after the time of the killings. In Pennsylvania, the defendant's car was seized and it was actually pretty much disassembled internally. And it also had been cleaned. There was a bucket of cleaner right beside it. I think we can all look to our own cars, you know, in those compartments in the doors. We try to keep them clean where you put stuff. There's always some degree of crud in there. They were spotless. The defendant's car had been meticulously cleaned inside. And the state would present to the jury that was part of the defendant's plan in covering up this. The defendant has studied crime. In fact, he did a detailed paper on crime scene processing when he was working on his pre-doctorate degrees. And he had that knowledge and skill. So, Your Honor, at the end, the state submits that the evidence that I've given just a quick overview of and that to present in court would consume weeks, which the state is prepared to do and has been prepared to do, would show that as the defendant has just admitted and pleaded guilty on November 13th, 2022, excuse me.
See, he got emotional.
Mr. Kohberger entered the residence of 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill. We will not represent that he intended to commit all of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted, and that he then killed intentionally, willfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice forethought. Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what are your guys' thoughts with that?
Like his reaction?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it's not genuine, but I know there's some feedback about it. I don't know.
It's hard. I'm not claiming that that's an easy position to be in, but I don't like the way it was gone about. I just don't.
I was watching like first week footage of, you know, when there was a lot of the local press and stuff out there. And I saw in the footage, like the first day, I think Bill Thompson was out there. He was wearing a district attorney like jacket and had something on the back. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Santa. I never noticed this. And so kind of considering that, like, I mean, he's seen stuff, you know? He's been there, and they say that he was supposed to retire and took this case, and I do think he cares, but I also kind of go back to what I'm hearing more logical people try to tell me is that, you know, it's the lawyers are representing the state, not really the victims, you know, and I know there's people upset about the way the plea agreement went about, but I'm trying to look at it all ways, even though there's some things that look funky.
Yeah, like it's hard because I acknowledge that this is probably a smart thing, but I think that they should have forced him to give a little bit of detail, something that Killer was just something that would have sufficed that yes, he's not just turning around and taking a plea, which I don't think that's the case anyway, but two, that to give the families a little bit of a surety.
Right. And there's a lot of people that, you know, worked in, you know, as a prosecutor or worked in as lead investigators that I've heard discussing that, you know, they have never seen it to where they weren't trying to get the victims' families to a point of acceptance and compromise in this. I just think the way it was done with emailing the letter attached just seemed
I don't think
very callous.
It was rushed. It was almost as if Anne walked right to them and asked for it, and you guys couldn't do it fast enough. It seemed like the only reason 2 days went by is because one, it was a weekend, and two, they had to do the protocol of going to the families and doing that. But they wanted to give it up so quickly.
Well, And what did Steve say or was it Xana's aunt that Friday meeting that they had was like actually about court, here the trial preparations and what things that were coming. Like they said, it was kind of brought up in jest, but it wasn't like the focus of their conversation. So it kind of piques my interest a little bit more that it wasn't a hotter topic to talk with them about.
Yeah. And I agree, Harley. I think that they should have waited a week, even if they intended to, because guess what? Them saying now, oh, well, we couldn't go back. It'd be unethical to go back and make him do this because he already agreed. And this is why you should have took the time. What's 1 week at this point, and discuss it with the families, given a chance for even the families to get there. Holy shit. It was done super fast. Yeah, it was like a slap in the face. And you have to remember, the gag order on top of it, they kept their mouths shut for the most part, and waited for this day. And then in a blink of an eye, it was just ripped and just rushed. So it's not really so much about long term. Is this the best scenario? Probably yes. But I don't like the way it was gone about. I just don't.
I think it's sad that not everybody's happy with the decision, but I agree with you. I think long term it's probably better, but there's also good points that I know Idaho tends to be a little bit more conservative, but there are some more liberal states that have changed their death penalty case law that has really kind of been pivotal, and it has people scared that over time that could change, and what's being defined that he's in now could be lessened.
I wonder if the surviving victims' perspectives were put first, as well as the fact they didn't want to fork out all the money. Oh, I'm sure that came and forcing them to testify and relive and think about Dylan and Bethany would have gotten. I think that I think this was probably the best decision. It's just the way it was gone about. I don't think that was right. But just so everyone knows, all 4 episodes drop at 3 a.m. Oh. Tonight? Like 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. But yes, tonight. Like I still consider that tonight, But
thank you.
How am I going to work tomorrow knowing 4 episodes are like available to watch it? Like seriously. We're going to have to binge this weekend, like aka all tomorrow, but this is because I'm not going to be on tomorrow or Saturday, so this is the first live I'd like to do Sunday night, if you're good with that, because it's on Amazon Prime, Jules, and it drops at 3 a.m. tonight, 4 episodes all at once, which I'm so happy about.
Yeah, if you have an Amazon Prime membership, it'll be free to you.
For free. If you have Amazon and you get your deliveries, which I do, I'm an Amazon junkie now. Like back in the day when I just had Wolfie order me anything I needed from Prime. Like now Prime's my bitch. Okay. I love Prime. Like and then just the service on top of it. Like, oh, that's extra because I could like right now I want to be impulsive and I want to get a tweezer. It'll be here in the morning. Like it's fabulous, but I know that's not like that for everyone because in other states, like it takes still like a long time for it to get to you. Not me. It's like we'll have it here by dinner, and it's like fuck yeah. Like I love Prime. I love Prime.
If you live in like bigger cities or like metropolitan areas, you can definitely get more like same day or within 24 hour. But my family that's like in more like rural areas, it takes them like a couple days. And I didn't even know that they would actually benefit from Prime because I like Prime for same day stuff,
Yes.
But they love it because they're like, well, we'd have to drive in to the cities to get these things from stores.
Get it in a week. It's amazing. It's like what? It's like, well, you'd have to drive 3 hours just get your nearest Target. Shit.
Oh, my dad is like, I can order my protein shake mix like online. Like he loves it.
Oh my gosh. I was at Disney for a week and ordered something. Dude, I need to slow down a little bit. Like, but it's not expensive. That's the thing. Like, you find great deals on it. Like, shit. Again, my dots. I'll spend $12 for that at the store. $4.99 on Amazon though for the same. Like, dude, fuck Walmart, harlot. Sorry. Fuck Walmart. I've always been a Target girl, not Walmart, but fuck Target now too, but definitely not Walmart. Come on, harlot. I didn't even know Walmart does deliver things.
I love Target. Don't get me wrong. I have Target's delivery service and I have Walmart's. But Walmart has the best fucking deals. Outside of Amazon, they really fucking do.
But the people at Walmart, Shay.
What's wrong with your people at your Walmart?
My Walmart people, they ain't good.
What do you mean? Like that people at Walmart where like they take funny pictures of people?
Yes. Yes. Like
well, Walmart, like for like the big Walmarts or super Walmarts, like in especially like Texas and rural areas, like having one like 30 minutes from you is awesome. Like they usually have smaller store like chain stores, so it's something you could actually kind of get some department store type stuff at,
What? You know what? To be fair, I've never shopped too much before currently. Like, so maybe they're not as great of deals as I think they are versus like, I think like getting a pack of like 6 extra large towels, like the ones that'll wrap around your body like 2 times.
Yeah.
For $20, that's a great fucking deal, in my opinion, unless I'm just inexperienced in the shopping world.
Yeah, I go to Target for my towels, but I don't know. There are some, I will say buying sheets on Amazon is where it's at.
Everything about $20. Everything about $20.
Yeah. $20, I'll buy it. $20. $20,
I'll get it. And it's the convenience. Now I don't get like my toilet paper and paper towels and stuff. Deliver that shit to my door. All right. I ain't going out there. I hate plugging that shit.
Actually, I did a lot of different price comparisons, like when I were my former job, and like there were certain things that we learned, like Amazon doesn't always have the best deals on, but I think Walmart is better when it comes to those kinds of things.
Drunk. I just did an entire move. I've gotten enough exercise for the year. Okay. Let me enjoy my prime. All right. I'm a new prime girly. But you know what? I probably do have to get cut off because it's just too convenient. Like once you prime, do you ever go back to the store? It's convenient.
I think since the pandemic, like I do more online shopping, even if I do store pickup, but I have gotten better about now wanting to go grocery shop because I like getting around and walking around.
Yeah, I do. I just like getting walking done. I don't like shopping because just like when you mentioned Walmart, what did I imagine in my head? The long fucking checkout lines, looking at myself in that damn checkout camera, like what the fuck? Do I really look like that? Like there's a lot of reasons I don't want to go to that store, man. Looking like I look at that self-checkout camera and I look behind me thinking it's someone else. No, that's me looking like fucking God only knows what in that camera, lurch looking motherfucker. And I'm like, who's that? That's me.
It's like on that like widescreen, so it like makes you look wider.
Like that distorted mirror from the carnival, and I'm like, who dat? Oh my god! Like, and then you're self-checkouting. And you're not skipping any items, but still you feel very anxious because they're watching you, and they're recording you. And it's like, I'm skipping. And then you scan the item and it still says, yo, the weight, put that item back because the weight's saying that you're trying to steal it or some shit. And it's like, no. That shit. Have you ever done that at the self-checkout line? Even after you scan an item and like, if you add even like a little finger weight, like just from putting the item down, it'll be like it's detecting an unscanned item, and you're like shit, and you have to wait for them to come, see that you didn't steal shit, and then do the whole thing just for it to happen like 3 items later again. It's too much of a hassle.
I don't like that there's a lot of self-checkout, I'll be honest with you.
I always feel like
I I feel like the customers that are around me are the ones actually judging me that I'm not going fast enough.
Yeah, because
And
they wait in
also,
line and tap their foot.
and I think they're judging the groceries I'm buying. Like I started getting self-conscious about it. Like maybe I should be buying this if I'm like self-conscious about it.
Allie showed me the TikTok shop, and I did the Jeffree Star, and it was buy one get like 3 free. But to be fair, all of that is still sitting untouched in my thing because I don't use eyeshadows anymore, and I went for the eyeshadow palettes, and I don't wear eyeshadow anymore. Like it's just too much.
You don't wear eyeshadow?
No, I used to. Now, just a little cat wing, a little lash going, eyebrows, contour, but no eyeshadow. I have small eyes, so like if
wait. You're willing to contour, but you won't put eyeshadow on? I did not do contour, but I have to have eyeshadow.
Oh yeah. Because if I have small eyes, I don't have like big eyelids. I have one of those like hooded eyelids. So if I start to put more on my eyes, the smaller they look. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Natasha knows. It's the hooded eye girl thing. I'm telling you. Like there is, and I have one of those eyes where like when you close it, you put the eyeshadow on your lid and you open it and it's gone. It's like where to go.
That's why you put a primer down.
Girl, that's just too much. Just too much.
I don't know. I love eyeshadow. I literally buy every eyeshadow palette I can find. Like even when I don't need it, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with eyeliner and I'm obsessed with mascara. I have to do my eyebrows. And then definitely concealer. I don't do contour. And sometimes we'll do like foundation. I always use a setting powder.
Yeah. No, I do everything but eyeshadow now. I don't need eyeshadow.
Your lashes are so long though.
No. I get the little cat wing, just not a full fucking lash. I cannot stand it. Again, too small of my eyes. Like, but
wait,
just
you put on fake lash?
No, I'll just get from Amazon. From Amazon. The little cat wing. So it's just a little, not even a half lash. It's a quarter lash. It's like 4 fucking lashes. Like that you
only put, why would you only
just
put 4
right on
lashes
the
on?
corner? Just right, because it never sees. I'm a very rough person, Shay. So if I got my eyelashes done today, I'd wake up and they'd be on my pillow tomorrow. Like they'd just be loose and they won't stay on. So I just glue the little tip to the end of my eye that goes along my eyeliner on the top.
I've only worn fake lashes one time, one day. I can't do it. I think it's fascinating. I love when people get them done, but I don't know. They kind of freak me out.
No, they
I'm
don't
afraid
freak me out. And I got the under
want to pull them off.
Too. No, but I don't. That's why I cannot do like a full eyelid of lashes. Just like I'm telling you, there's like 4 lashes on it, but it's a little bit longer. You just put it right at the edge, and that's all you need. That's all you need. Blue eyeliner, Leon. You're kinky. Yeah,
you're kinky.
Yes, those are the ones, Andrea. And again, I'm telling you, Amazon deal. If you went to CVS, you'd get 2 literal lashes for like $12. But Amazon, you get a pack of like 18 of those little 4 lashes on the ends for $12.
I remember whenever you taught me like some of your face regimen stuff, and like everything you sent me was bought on Amazon, and it's like in my favorite section. I still buy them.
Yep. It's a new again, you know, I've only had my Prime for less than, I don't even know, maybe it's been like 7 months, but like I'm addicted to Prime. But okay, so go ahead.
I say, do y'all have, I don't know if you have it like where you're at, but like where they kind of tried to make like a Temu version, like kind of section on Prime. Do you have that option?
No.
I have it on mine, and it's interesting. Like they have a lot of the stuff like you could get off Temu, but it like the Temu prices, but it's like brought to you by Amazon.
See, I did Shein once. Temu, no, I did Shemu. No, hold on.
What the fuck is Shemu?
Oh, I'm getting tired. I meant Shein, and I think I combined Shein and Temu. To Shemu.
I thought you were trying to say Shamu at first, like the killer.
I combined the two. I did Sheen twice, but again,
Yes, Jamie. Yes.
Sheenu. If you look at Amazon, it does, the prices aren't that different. I'm telling you. Shemu. You know, that's a good thing.
Yes,
should be
yes,
okay.
Aries girl, the on the haul option. Yes. I played on it a little bit, but yeah, it's like a Temu kind of setting of, or like, you know, where you get all the little cheapy deals kind of thing. Amazon haul. Thank you guys. That's what it is. I've only looked at it a couple times.
Wish mushroom
But-
PJ. I'm like
But every time I hear Temu, I'll never be able to get it out of my head of Temu titties. Like it's just
Temu
stuck in
titties,
my
oh
head.
my god.
I was wondering where Chris was ever since this plea came out. I was about to say confession, got me fucked up.
It's called Amazon Haul. Where is that when you just log on to Amazon?
Well, I'm sorry, I just put a trip in my mouth.
Well, they
Can you go
have
to
the ones that go under your
It's like-
eyelashes now, guys. And like that does last for like a week.
So when you go to your Amazon app at the top, it'll be like Prime Day deals, and then it'll say haul as a section, and it brings up the haul beta. And it's basically like they're testing out like a Temu type price like option for Amazon because
shit.
a lot of people started buying from Temu because they like cheap deals, and it honestly they were selling some of the same stuff that Amazon had. I would check.
Yes.
And so
I
I
heard
think
that.
they're keeping their name in the game, and you could still get your shipping. Like, you know,
found it.
options that you get. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love it, girl. I find the most random shit. I bought like all sorts of like containers.
I
and,
don't
you know,
need
just,
a
like,
kayak,
tchotchke.
but I think I might get one. There's a fucking kayak on here, man. What?
Really?
Yeah, it's the
It
first
is
thing I see,
Prime
a
Week.
kayak.
It's Prime Week.
I know,
Prime Day.
and I primed. Trust, I primed.
What else you buy? I'm curious.
I keep
And I
finding
will
things
judge
I
you.
need for my cottage, like, and I keep making the rationale, like, oh, okay, but like I just moved, like, and I need this though, like, but I need this though, you know, but I need like this, like I have a set of coasters that just came, like, but I need that to protect my furniture shed, like, and I don't have that, which then led into like the underneath for like the pots and stuff, but I need that because I don't want to ruin my furniture.
So you're justifying every
need-
purchase?
Yes. And like I'm done meeting, but like, you know, I'm done meeting. Dude, it's just I don't even know what Prime Week is.
It's where they do a bunch of like
I
badass
got
deals.
rid of half my pillows on the move. I did. True story. And I'm so proud of myself. It wasn't easy.
What do you mean?
I got rid of half my pillow. Oh, Shay, you didn't know how many pillows I had at my bed?
No. I've never seen
More
your bed.
pillows than bed existed. Like basically my knees hung off my bed because that's how far out my pillows came.
That's how you know you're single.
Touche. It's so
I'm sorry.
There ain't nobody in my bed. I'm like Jesse with the pillows, man. Actually, it's pretty sad. But not anymore. Now I only have a body pillow, 4, like 2 king, 2 queen, and then 4 throw pillows. So I'm down half.
Yeah.
It's because
Interesting.
Shay, I don't have, you're right. I don't have someone to hold my back. So I need to prop the pillows up and build a fort around myself and swing my leg around one. Yeah, you're right. Not everyone has the comfort of a warm, loving body next to them.
It ain't always great when it's next to you either. It farts on you and breathes stinky breath on you and pushes, kicks
Yeah,
you.
I'm not complaining, honestly. Like, it's weird because when you sleep alone for so long, then trying to go to sleep with someone, you can't do it. But then also when you sleep with someone for so long and then try to go out alone, you can't do it either. Like you just get used to things, you know?
Yeah. I've always been one that like I'll be this is just be really honest. Like, you know how like people toot in their sleep without knowing? And that was something I was always afraid of, and I wouldn't want to do sleepovers like if I was like dating someone or something. I'm like, because I don't that would just be so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I swear you did.
Thanks, Chief. No, I didn't. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't know. They have those apps that record you while you're sleeping to see if you sleep talk or sleep fart, whatever. I don't want to download it.
Well, and not really until like you're sleeping next to someone or like, you know, family has told you that you have certain like, you know, sleep kind of quirks. Like like my husband never knew that he talks in his sleep. And I'm like, oh yeah, he has like full on like weird conversations. And I guess he never knew that. Nobody's ever told him that.
Yeah. Well, he did.
Doesn't want to believe me of the things that he says, but they are pretty funny. I mean, there's been a few times he's ordered from Taco Bell while he's sleeping.
Yo quiero gordita crunch.
He's like, yes. He's like, can you hear me? He was like, I'd like to get 3 Doritos Los tacos.
He said, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh no, that's so accurate. And yes, can you hear me?
And
I
I
get
was
a
like,
Baja
are you? Because I was
Blast?
sitting there. I was right next to him. And I was like, hey, what's up? I was like, are you okay, honey? And then he just starts blurting out the order, and I'm like, he's sleep talking. He's literally sleep talking. So I wish I would have recorded him. But at the end, he was like, extra fire sauce. Like, really throw some shit in there, man. Like, I want a lot of it. I just started laughing. Like, that's how he orders every time.
That's so funny.
Yeah, he had no idea. And then he's taken like work calls, like because he used to work in the oil field. So
Yeah.
it's like he's dreaming about something, and he doesn't actually take a call, but it's like in his dream he's taking a call, and he like talks it out and has full on engineer conversations with himself. It's weird.
That's so crazy. And then they don't
Yeah.
remember it at all.
They don't. My mom actually sleepwalks, Melissa, and it's gotten really scary a few times. But like when she was younger, like, she would ride her bike in a circle in the garage in the dark. Her dad would have to like help her get back to bed so she didn't hurt herself. But we had to start locking peanut butter because she was sleeping one night and she decided that she was going to make a peanut butter sandwich, not peanut butter jelly, just peanut butter. And she almost choked, you know, like she's eating in her sleep, doing things in her sleep. And it's wild. She doesn't know these things until you tell her. And then she cries because she scares herself. So I've seen it work in so many ways, like some funny, sleepwalking things, but other ones that are like, man, that's scary, especially if you can't wake up.
Oh, Abused Hick says, I would think my mom and stepdad were fighting when they were both still alive, but they were sleep fighting, just yelling back and forth. Oh my God.
That's funny.
That's so funny. I have one dog that howls all night in her sleep, another one that sleep cries. My husband snores like a bear. I talk, walk, order from creators' wish list. It's a train wreck.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's so funny. And both yelling about different topics, not even the same topic.
That reminds me of Step Brothers or something,
Don't wake them up. Don't wake them up. I'm waking them up.
They're outside.
Oh, funny. I love the videos of like the dogs waking themselves up from farting, like having a bad dream, and they'll get up and like run through the wall, like straight through the sheetrock. It's crazy. Oh my God, girl, that's so crazy.
Hopefully you don't start ordering stuff off Amazon in your sleep.
That'll be my excuse. Like, it wasn't me. I was not conscious when I did it. Becky would wake up swinging. No.
Oh my gosh.
It's so crazy that they're not conscious, even though their eyes are open and they're doing that. Like, that's crazy. It's so freaky.
Yeah.
I would say Robbie a coffee maker. Paper towels. in your sleep? Oh my God.
I could totally believe that because my friend's husband, he was actually my best friend before I met her, honestly. He would order Amazon in the middle of the night, and she thought he was doing it when he was drunk. And then come to find out, like it was nights like they weren't even drinking and the orders were being placed. He was doing it in his sleep, Melissa.
Wow.
He was ordering stuff, like he'd put stuff in the cart and then was ordering things. Like, and he was like, no joke. I mean, they would send stuff back because he was just like, I really didn't think I was trying to buy stuff. I'm sorry. And she's like, my house, like
My house.
She's like, I'm getting like 5 to 6 packages a day sometimes. Like it's weird. And she was like, she's like, one time he bought a bowling ball. Like, we don't even bowl.
We don't even bowl.
And she said it had like some cool design on it. And she's like, I don't know. It was weird.
My friend ordered 2 Yorkie puppies while sleeping. No lie. How do you order Yorkie puppies online? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, that's wild. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll let you go, girl. I know you got to get up early.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm really excited about the series though. And it's the first thing I want to talk about when coming back. And
yeah,
I hope all of it hasn't been spoiled. Like, you know, I don't think it will be, but I hope all of it hasn't been spoiled. But I really, I'm excited. So make sure you guys watch it. Again, it's on Prime. It drops at 3 a.m., all 4 episodes. And we'll break it down and discuss it when we get back.
Okay, good night.
Good night, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Love you, Shay. Happy birthday.
2 months. Love you. Bye.
Bye.